Next on America's Day at the Races, it's the prelude to the weekend with the latter half of the card from Aqueduct. After 3 runner-up finishes in his first 3 dirt starts, King Angelo hopes to get over his second-itis and prove he's not just a turf horse. We'll also take you out to Hot Springs, Arkansas with live coverage of the Late Pick 5 sequence. Classy Bridget looks like she's coming into her own off an impressive maiden score. Can she continue to move forward in her first try against winners? And we'll preview Saturday's Road to the Kentucky Oaks for 3-year-old fillies in the Busanda from Aqueduct. Can a colt whip up a supernatural performance in her stakes debut? For trainer Chad Brown. All that and more coming up on this Friday edition of America's Day at the Races. It is brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Good to have you with us here on FS2. Greg Wolf alongside New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling. Good to see you. And we're going to preview later today. We talked about Classy Bridget in that open in there. She has faced some pretty good fillies in the limited start she's made so far.
We'll see how she can do it at Oakland. I won't be here for that race. I don't want to make you feel sad, but Maggie, well, you're probably happy now. Maggie will be here for that race. We'll see if she can step forward, though. Always tough sometimes to make that maiden jump, but she feels like she could do it.
Yeah, she won in the mud. I thought back-to-back performances where she's run really well. Meanwhile, back here to New York, King Angelo, we talked about on the top as well. This horse has been much better on grass, but he's coming out of a pretty salty dirt race with Sheriff Bianco.
Yeah, I actually have a different opinion. I believe this is a dirt horse who's a talented enough horse that he can run well on the turf, but I think the owner and previous trainers, they missed a lot of opportunities. They shipped this horse to Florida after an extremely good debut that he lost in the dirt to run in turf races. They've scratched out of races that came off the turf that he would have won at 4 to 5. Last time out, he got caught in a race and had an abundance of speed. And he still ran a credible race. Now, we don't know that he's a horse that can win a race by rating. And I think 12th man, 12th without an F, ran pretty well to be 3rd off the long layoff in here in the wider trip. And I think Shipsational's dangerous, but King Angelo is a good horse that's been hampered by being on the wrong surface in some ways. Not that he's bad on the turf, but I think he's a better dirt horse. And I think that Jorge Abreu, since he's taken over, did a good job of convincing the owner of that. In fact, I had spoken to him shortly after he got him, and I said, "This is a dirt horse." And he said to me, "I agree. Works like a stakes horse in the dirt, and I'm going to get him on the dirt," and he has. And he's not going to be 3 to 1. He's going to be a very big favorite, in my opinion.
We will see if he can get it done. There's some other interesting competitors in that group. We'll get to that. That's the feature later on today's card. Today's action is presented by Claiborne Farm. We will have races 5 through 8 coming up. The Late Pick 4 here in New York, sloppy going on this Friday card here in South Ozone Park. Fast, meanwhile, in Hot Springs, Arkansas, races 4 through 9 to come, including that Late Pick 5, which starts in race 5. And that feature, that includes Classy Bridget, who we're talking about for Chris Hartman coming off that maiden win. Also, Tampa Bay race 9, which will bring you that one later on. We've been bringing you that 9th each and every day on the program from Tampa. That one will be on the turf. Few scratches in there as well. You can play it all at NYRABets.com. Get signed up started. You get that $200 deposit match sign-up bonus with that code for new members, match 200 at NYRABets.com. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. With us as well remotely, Jonathan Kinchin to give us his best bet. Hey, JK.
Hello, Wolfie. It's cold up here in Saratoga. I'm assuming it's probably still kind of cold down there too, but I bet it's colder here. My best bet for the day is in race 6. I like the 6 Shatalamo. It's a horse that was going a mile last time. I think the cutback's really going to help. This horse was wide, involved in an honest enough pace. And going wide, going the 8 furlongs, maybe just a taste farther than this one for his best, for them to show her best opportunity. And I think being drawn outside of the main competition, cutting back to the 6.5, if she could run a similar race that she ran last time, but now do it at a shorter distance, I think she's going to be extremely hard to beat in here. It's arguable that being on the outside where she was last time wasn't where you want it to be. And I think that some of the horses towards her inside are going to be bet a little bit. I think they're going to bet the 5 Shinful. And I just feel like Shatalamo is kind of coming into her best form for Eduardo Jones since he claimed her. She just seems to keep getting better. Her figures seem to be improving. And I think the cutback might hit her right in between the eyes.
All right, JK, thanks. Yes, Shinful ran a huge number last start. I don't know how trustworthy she is off that.
I don't disagree, but you get a feeling that Shinful might be a horse that probably should have been in the dirt her entire career because she's actually run well in both of her last 2 starts on the surface.
This race kicks off the Late Pick 4, and that's the one to beat right now. Baby Socks. Jose Camejo trains. making a lot of changes, getting blinkers, adding Lasix, start number 2, and get sloppy going again. We'll be back.
Whether it's Division 1 or Grade 1, top athletes have certain traits in common. Speed, strength, class, versatility, and most of all, willpower. Claiborne Farm Stallion, War of Will, was a Grade 1 winner on both dirt and turf. Now, his first foals are taking the field.
We're back on America's Day at the Races. Thanks for being with us on this Friday afternoon on our FS2 coverage. It's brought to you in part by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Late pick 4 starting here in race 5. 6 furlong sprint, $40,000 maiden claiming race. We showed you Baby Socks going to breaks. Right now, the big favorite. She's set to make start number 2 with those changes we talked about, blinkers and Lasix. For more in the field, from down in the paddock, let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
Thanks, Greg. And your 2 favorites in here with regards to Baby Socks and Cali Bally almost kind of have the same physical makeup as well. And they give the impression, based upon their respective first efforts, that they're going to be 2 fillies who are going to be on the front end. But Baby Socks does have the luxury of getting that more outside post, as just a shortcut cheater blinker is going to go on today. And while I wasn't in the paddock for either of their debuts, they're both very stout, compact, and quick built fillies. So I think as though that's exactly what we're going to see here, as they both also get the addition of Lasix. As we'll move on to Cali Bally. Now, she was forward and she stopped pretty badly over a good sealed racetrack. She'll get a sloppy one today. She does have that quick sprinter frame. Now, she's not, if I had to, kind of split hairs between the two, she's just not quite as fit looking as the aforementioned Baby Socks in here. She is really well developed behind the saddle, but like I said, because she's so compact and built downhill, you have to wonder, are there some distance limitations with her? And I say that knowing that this is 6 furlongs. Is she one that's going to be better even shorter, at like a 5.5? As we'll take a look at the Maryland Invader, that's number 4, Major Houlihan. She comes in here, debuted in a maiden special weight. She really lacks speed, and she was kind of under a ride the whole way. But she's another one that gets blinkers on today, and they're a pretty significant pair of blinkers. They're almost a 3/4 cup, kind of closing her in much more significantly than another type of blinker. And she's fairly keen here. So not to say that she's going to be up front, but she should be involved a bit more. And while, jury's still out, Army Mule, a freshman sire with newly turned 3-year-olds this year, I don't really know. I can't really say whether pedigree says she should like a wet track, but You want the horse that's built for a wet track. It's her. She's a little bit more narrow. She has that very kind of narrow, smaller foot to her, like a deer. So I think she might appreciate the going here, and she is a decent price currently on the board at 7-1, Greg.
Maggie, thanks. She drops in class from a straight maiden race at Laurel. So you take a look at Maggie's husband there.
We're supposed to see Maggie, not Tom. Come on.
Tom Morley with Audit Committee dropping in class as well from the rail. You can play all the action and follow along with it with free Equibase Past Performances. Get all the stats of the jockeys, trainers, horses at nowhere.com/TV schedule.
Mentioning Audit Committee, how is Audit Committee a significantly lower price than Major Houlihan? Clearly no MASH fans betting. I think we've established that right from the start.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it looks to me like Major Houlihan's a much more interesting horse than Audit Committee. I'm not saying the Audit Committee can't win, but I'm not sure off of that debut why you necessarily, they're both dropping. I mean,
They should be at least somewhat similar price, shouldn't they?
yeah. I mean, listen, it's not. I mean, it's pretty significant. It's more than 50%. It's about a 50% drop. So, just sort of surprised. That's all. I'm just not. It's not like Mike Trombetta doesn't come to New York and win races ever.
And here's the Brad Cox second time of the 5 going by. Another one dropping in class. That was a race that was meant for the grass that was taken off. Showed some brief early speed in that spot. And you figure Brad Cox usually to take money, and he is. So here's the Tom Morley horse from the rail.
Did run against a better horse, a first-time starter that ran off the field, but I didn't see this horse do any running at all first time.
Bounty Killa has been 8th and 9th first 2 starts.
Well, we have a pick 6 carryover today. He'll be a carryover creator if he should win.
Woke up a diva, the only first-time starter in the field.
Does that mean you woke up a diva or you woke up a diva?
I think
the
named
question.
after my little one, Isabel. Here's Major Houlihan, the dropper from Laurel.
I agree with you that this horse is too big a price. I picked the horse 3rd, but I just wish this horse did some running first time out.
Cali Bally, here's the Brad Cox filly.
I picked Callie Bally, and she in the 7 figured to be similar prices by post time in here, and she took enough money first time and showed speed. I think she's interesting.
Here's Graceful, actually did run 3rd at this condition. Belmont at Aqueduct in October.
She did, but in an awfully slow race.
Yeah, 115 for the 6 furlongs. Baby Sox 7-5 favorite, start number 2.
Yeah, I mean, if the 5 doesn't have stamina and Maggie has some questions, then the 7 will probably be stalking and be in the right spot. Probably the right favorite in here. I prefer Callie Bally, but they look like the 2. But I agree the value at this point is the 4 at 6-1.
All right, pick 4 coming up. You can play against your friends, fellow fans, and you're competing for real prizes. It's free to enter as well, so no excuse not to play the showdown. Each and every day in the program, put in your selections. Hopefully see your name climb that leaderboard. And again, as mentioned, you're competing for real prizes. And you get to see your name climb that leaderboard, hopefully, if you're in that top 10 at the end of the program. So pick 4 starts in this race coming up. 6 furlongs for these 40 maiden claimers. There is the Brad Cox second-time starter, Callie Bally. And Manny Franco will be on board. What a week it was. Named National Jockey of the Week for what he did last weekend. 6 wins, equaling an Aqueduct record on Friday. 4 more wins on Saturday. And then won the opener and the nightcap on Sunday.
He had at least 2 yesterday. He was disqualified yesterday, 7th race, justifiably so. But Manny's really riding extremely well. He's getting on the right horses, and he's riding them very, very well here. I think you'll see this horse be aggressive from the gate, probably be the speed in here, and in my opinion, obviously, I hope that he has a little more stamina than he did first time. Maggie has some questions about him getting the 6 furlongs. We'll find out. I do prefer him in here, but 2-1's no bargain.
Like the appearance from her. Callie Bally, start number 2 coming up. Let's go back to Jonathan.
Yeah, Wolfie, I kind of agree. I mean, with Andy's notion about the 4 Major Houlihan, I like this horse a lot. You get the blinkers, you get LASIK, so there's an opportunity there to maybe see a little bit more from this horse. I agree. Didn't do much running, but did earn a speed figure that you kind of have something to work with there. And I think if you watch the trip as well, the horse was wide around there, losing ground, so another reason that this horse could take another step forward. The other thing I like to see, when first-time starters take money, there's usually a reason. A lot of first-time starters don't get blindly bet off of connections. There's usually some type of story. The horses worked well. The barn knows. The owners know. They talk about it. And there's a reason why horses take money first out. And I just feel like the 4 Major Houlihan probably has at least a little bit of talent, and I'm expecting this horse to take another step forward. And when you're playing this game of hoping and that a horse might take a step forward, I think what helps is the price that you're getting, and you will get paid if Major Houlihan does take that step forward. So, look, I'm not going to be shocked if the 7 Baby Sox wins, but at the prices, I just feel like the 4 Major Houlihan makes a little bit of sense. But like always, when you have a lot of horses in here that haven't run very much, lightly raced, where on paper you need a little bit more, who's better to talk to than our friend Maggie Wolfendale?
Well, I hope that Major Houlihan can handle the weight of both you and I, Jonathan. And I kind of like her for maybe some different reasons, like I mentioned in the paddock. You know, Mike Trombetta horses, they do tend to take money at Laurel, and it sometimes often pays to have that wider trip. I just think she's going to be sitting the right trip today, because I think the 2 favorites might cause some heat up front. As we'll take a look at number 1, Audit Committee. She's another one that gets Lasix and takes that drop in class. She does look very fit. Again, you know, I really don't have many notes on any of these horses. So I know her a bit more, obviously, being trained by my husband, but you know, kind of how she stacks up against this field, she gives the impression that she might want to go a bit further than this. And 2, with the way that she ran first time out, I mean, she kind of kept contact and then she had no contact at all. She just feels like she was run off her feet a little bit, though she is one that suggests that the wet track is not going to be a problem. A little bit of a you know, lighter framed filly. They just tend to not sink over this type of going. Is well turned out from the overall perspective, though she's going to have to take a serious step forward. And for me, of the 2 between the 1 and the 4, kind of having similar makeups and similar form, I did prefer Major Houlihan, guys.
All right, Maggie, thank you. Post time coming up. And, well, the price was starting to come down on the 4, but floating back up now to 6-1.
Yeah, the board is just focusing pretty much the majority of the money on both the 7 and 5. And Alex, I get it. The problem with the 4 is that she just doesn't have any speed. Now, as Maggie said, hopefully she could be closer, and I joked with you and said, well, she won't be farther back because she was just dramatically slow in her debut. And with both the 5 and 7, you have forwardly placed horses. Now, to be fair, I don't think we're seeing a biased racetrack. I think we're seeing horses make moves. I think there's a mistaken impression often by people that wet tracks are helpful to speed. I think the one time you see it is if it's raining hard during the day. It starts puddling on the racetrack, you know, and they're splashing about. A track like this that's sealed, there's a lot of moisture in it, but it's not, I don't think it's splashing on anybody. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? And
Yeah.
I think you'll see that when you see rain during the day and like those harsh conditions. Sometimes it seems harder to make up the ground. On this course, it doesn't seem to be a big problem.
Now, as we look at the board right now, even money on Baby Sox, is that getting to a ridiculous point?
Well, I mean, I understand why he's favored. He did run a 53 buyer, and to be fair, the second fastest buyer in this field is 33. Compared to a horse that was 3-5 in our first race today, I'm not sure this horse isn't an overlay at even money.
Okay.
Because there was a horrendous 3-5 shot in our first race today. So I don't know. You know, it's hard. I mean, I don't think you disagree with this. I have trouble taking super short prices on lower quality horses, because I think you have to question their just ability to have any kind of consistency. So off of one race, I would rather bet the 5 at 2-1 than the 7 at even money. I don't think this is outrageously low when you look at the relative PPs and you look at the figure that way, but these aren't exactly horses that are probably going to be the most reliable horses throughout their careers.
We'll see if she can live up to the billing. Baby Sox, even money from that outside post for trainer Jose Camejo. 9-5 second choice, second-time starter Cali Ballet for Brad Cox. We're going to see plenty of his horses running later in the program as well today at Oaklawn. Start of the late pick 4. Let's go upstairs to Chris Griffin to kick things off.
All in line. All set. And they're off. Step slow for Bounty Killer at the back. Audit Committee goes right out to the front, is up by a clear length, and up towards the outside here comes Kalibali in the early mix with Baby Sox 3 wide. In behind them will be Woke Up a Diva is in fourth. Gets passed here by Graceful, and the red cap is now taking that fourth position away. Major Houlihan is put Woke Up a Diva second to last, and the trailer is Bounty Killa. These three, as they approach 4 furlongs left to go, and to the inside it's Audit Committee. In between horses, it's Balikali, and 3 wide is Baby Sox. They went 22 and 4 for that opening quarter mile. 4 lengths clear from Graceful, who is progressing, is coming after the leaders now, followed by Major Houlihan. It's a big gap back to the rest. Bounty Killa and Woke Up a Diva is more than double digits the trailer. As they approach a quarter mile left to go, Audit Committee is trying to shake loose on the front end. Audit Committee is in the 2 path, and up on the outside, Baby Sox is trying to rally on there with Kalibali. Also with some momentum, Graceful, and Graceful is pursuing this leader, Audit Committee, who's still up by 2.5 lengths for a final furlong. Audit Committee trying to put it away. Graceful with the late momentum. Major Houlihan in the grandstand side. Audit Committee is 16th to go. It is still Audit Committee in front. Graceful is game in second. Audit Committee gets the victory. Then Graceful, Major Houlihan, and Baby Sox in 1 minute 13.87 seconds.
Audit Committee surprisingly showing some speed from that inside post and able to hang on and go gate to wire.
And let's give Dylan Davis some credit. The horse broke really sharp, and he just did not take anything away from her. Went up to the front. Once a horse like the 5 Kalibali is able to make the lead, she has no chance. And Baby Sox did absolutely no running at all, failing to finish 4th in here. And I guess the answer to my query before, why was this horse short of the 4, and they ended up pretty much similar prices, 5 to 1 and 6 to 1. She had the ability to at least be a little bit closer to the pace. In this case, she was in front. As we talked about with Major Houlihan, she made a real run at the end, but she's just so far back.
1-6-4 in here, Dylan Davis. We saw him take advantage when a pace tool did not develop, winning on the road to the Kentucky Derby on Logan Knight.
Yep.
And he takes advantage here. I mean, it looked like intent was go here from that inside.
Yeah, and I think that's, we've talked about this with Dylan. It's one of the real reasons that he had that great year that he had last year, where he had the most wins of any rider in New York. He became more aggressive. He seized opportunities like this. And in this case, when you're riding this level of horse, you have a chance to control in the front end. You don't want to take it away from your horse, and he does not.
1-6-4-7, the big surprise in here. This 6 horse, Graceful.
Yeah. Yeah. Almost looked like he had a shot to win at a big price. Jose Gomez continuing to ride well in the new year.
Even money favorite defeated. That's going to play big in the late pick 5, pick 4 as well. There was a small pick 6 carryover today. Dylan Davis for Tom Morley. Vinlar Racing Stables 5 to 1 here in the 5th from Aqueduct at Oaklawn, race 4. $20,000 maiden claiming sprint at 6 furlongs. As we bring you the post parade.
This is the race you've been talking to me about all day. I
We
couldn't stop bothering me.
With star post, Dwayne Lucas gets Lasix.
Coming off a bit of a layoff since Keeneland, this horse would probably have to improve.
Keen contender, blinkers on.
Has had many chances and just doesn't appear to be good enough.
All right, the one we're going to see next, I believe, Doozy Bats, was 3 to 5 last start, eased in the stretch. Now an equipment change, blinkers off.
Who bet a horse claim from Leslie Ward at 3 to 5? I mean, honestly, this horse was 3 to 5 off a claim from Leslie and was eased and then a claim voided. You bet at your own risk. 3 to 1 today?
Yep.
I guess 3 to 5, you go back at 3 to 1, right?
12 to 1 on the X Factor.
I mean, the last race is the best race that she's ever run at 5 years old. Still probably not good enough.
6-year-old, still trying to break her maiden here, 0 for 13, Alita.
Yeah, she's going to have to run back to her better. Sub-race doesn't exist. She actually ran at Aqueduct once.
California Chrome, 5-year-old mare who's 0 for 11.
I guess she's at least hinting to being fast enough.
Yeah.
7 thirds in 11 starts. That's amazing.
5 to 2, an American Band who at least has upside, drops in class, start number 2.
He's the horse to beat in this race of second start.
Bargain Hunters at 8 to 1, start number 2, and a one that showed speed. Blinkers come off.
This is the interesting horse, right? Had extreme speed and just stopped. 3 to 1 in his debut. I'm 7s and 8s here.
And the 9 showed speed at this level as well off a year's layoff and
Yep.
only was beat a length of 3/4 in the end.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. It'd be interesting to see what it does. I think some inside are faster. It'd be interesting to see what the 7 does, because as hard as it is to believe looking at the 7's race, 7 could be in front in this race. I don't think it's impossible here.
Yeah.
I think the 7's the logical one, and the 8 is the interesting one.
Let's get more from Paula Duca at Oakland.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks, Andy. Yeah, starting off with a tough one here in race number 4. Don't forget, 9 races on the race card today, so your late pick 5 will start in race 5. Now, the first 3 races so far, we've had a gate-to-wire winner, 2 gate-to-wire winners. The last one just hanging on, and we did have the favorite for Lindsay Schultz in race number 2. Did kind of circle the field. So I think the racetrack is playing fair. Yesterday it was very, very cold and windy. Today it is cold, but not as windy. So it's playing fair. Now, as in the tote board here, Doozy Bats to 3. I just don't understand how they're dipping back in here at 2-1. You know, this horse is lost at 82 cents on the dollar and 48 cents on the dollar when Wesley Ward was training his horse. That's nothing against Nevada Lifton. Nothing against. But the horse did lose at 3-5 and did not finish the race. So now are we going back in here at 2-1? I don't get that at all. I know you're not seeing much on the page, and a lot of people are looking, okay, that 63 or 65 buyer there, that will win this race. Maybe that will, but is Doozy Bats going to really run that race? I just don't see it. Now, the 7, American Band, I thought she looked the best on the racetrack. Now, she is a homebred for Gary and Mary West, so I could see the drop here. The blinkers go on. She's kind of slight a little bit. I thought she looked well when she was warming up. And at 5-2, I thought that's a pretty square price. I thought she might be the favorite. I'm really surprised that Doozy Bats is the favorite. And then the 1 Star Pose. We've talked a lot about these Lucas runners. This one will get Lasix for the first time. They kind of surprise you. Rafael Bejarano is aboard the 1. Martin Garcia is off. And you know, Mikel Michelle usually been riding these winners for Dwayne Lucas, and she lands on the 4 X Factor. The early money came on the 1. I wonder if Bejarano pushes here from the rail. I just can't touch, I can't touch Doozy Bats at 2-1. I think the 7's the horse to beat. I'm kind of with Andy here. I think the 8's the outside horse that can maybe clear this field and get a little bit braver. But I'm going to go 1-7-7-1 in here. I think the Lucas horse might be live.
All right, Paulie, thanks. Yeah, the Lucas horse from the rail, 15-1 morning line, 7-1 right now.
Getting Lasix.
But the public back aboard Doozy Bats, although not at the price we saw her go to last time at 3-5.
Well, the other thing about Doozy Bats, forgetting about, and I do think it's important to note that it's ex-Wesley Ward, who was winning at 25% last year, to a trainer who won at 9%, with a relatively similar amount of starters. This horse lost for Wesley Ward at 8-5, then lost for Wesley Ward at 4-5, then lost for Wesley Ward at 2-5. So this is a kind of horse, even if it was Wesley Ward, you're inclined to want to bet against. And I'm not trying to give a hard time to the trainer, but the numbers don't lie. And I don't know about you, Greg. I wouldn't want to be any trainer claiming horse from Wesley Ward.
Yeah.
It's not an easy thing to do. Linda Rice she did very well with Sheriff Bianco because it was a different surface. But in general, he's a tough trainer to claim from. I don't think people are dying to claim from him. And I think this is an absolutely insane favorite.
We're going to look next door to the X Factor. It's coming off an effort. It was at this level, only missed by 3/4 of a length at a big price, 23-1. So today, you just miss here. You're getting a lot shorter number. Well, 12-1 right now.
Right, this horse is not competitive on paper from a speed figure standpoint. We could show the race, but look at the horse that finished just a nose behind. Key Contender. That's the 2 horse. Look at that horse's PPs. These horses are horses that are running around a 50 buyer. The winner of this race is probably going to run a buyer figure in the 60s somewhere. It's hard to see this horse winning, why it's a big price in here. But I will say one thing. The connections may want to ask themselves why they spent so long running on synthetic. Because the horse clearly, ran better on the dirt than it ran on synthetic. Not that he's any kind of killer, she is, but she's a better horse on dirt.
And it took until the end of her 4-year-old campaign to get her on for the first time after 10 starts.
Right, after her debut at Prairie
on,
Meadows, but that was a long time ago. And that was a muddy seal track.
Yeah.
So they didn't even see a fast track. I mean, listen, they obviously run horses at Presque Isle, but on the other hand, if they're not good on a surface, you might want to try another one.
Set for the 4th, and then it's late pick 5 time. Very interesting sequence today. We'll get to that coming up. But first things first, this 6 furlong sprint $20,000 maiden claiming group. Doozy bats the 3. Public saying, give us some more, please. After eased and beat it 3-5 last start at this level. We may have a new audience joining us just in time before the break. Vic Stoffer, the call here in the 4th.
Last to load, Rowdy Daisy. They're at the post. Rowdy Daisy is going to cause a delay. There will be a delay. Rowdy Daisy fractious in the gate.
Welcome to those who just joined us in Bally Sports, Southern California, San Diego. Greg Wolf, Andy Serling. We have John of the Kitchen, Paula Duca, Maggie Wolfendale, all with us. We're set to load you this 4th at Oakland. We do have a rider off, so slight delay. Going to get you back out there, though, right now. It's the 3 Doozy Bats. Who's the favorite here?
Yes, the worst favorite we'll see on today's show, in my opinion. Though who knows? We've got time to go.
And
they're back in cement now.
Being backed out of the gate.
Always my favorite part.
We had talked about, for those just joining us and did not catch it, a couple of interesting runners. The 8 Bargain Hunter showed some speed and equipment change, blinkers off. The 9 Rowdy Daisy showed some speed. Let's check in quickly with Paula Duca.
Yeah, Greg, I was just waiting for the announcement there by Vic Stoffer. The 9 has been scratched here, Rowdy Daisy. He flipped over a little bit. And then kicked Orlando Mojica. You could see Orlando Mojica was keeled over a little bit. I can't really see from where I'm at. Hopefully he's okay. It looks like they backed the 9 out. The 9 was okay. The state veterinarian took a look at Rowdy Daisy and declared her a late scratch in here. I'll just get you some news on Orlando Mojica. Hopefully he's okay because he took looked like he took a kick to the rib cage or something when the horse was backing out of the gate and sort of keeled over a little bit. When I hear some more in Orlando, I'll get it back to you.
All right, Paulie, thank you for that. So late change there.
Well,
As
we
you
hope
see
that
everyone
Orlando
behind the gate.
Mojica's okay, most importantly. Sounds like a potentially dangerous thing. It is a tough job. Not sure what's going on here, though. So they stand behind the gate.
All right, so, with Rowdy Daisy coming out, that was a filly who both of her starts, she had shown speed. We talked about the 8 as a long shot that's interesting in here, and that's a filly that wants to be 4. That made her job maybe a little bit easier here.
Potentially. I mean, I think she's a quicker horse, but I don't disagree. It's never going to hurt to have a potential speed horse, especially right outside on your flank, come out of the race. I don't think that the 9 was a major contender to win, but could have been a horse that, as you're suggesting, had an impact on the outcome here. I mean, obviously the 8 Bargain Hunter, the horse that I think the 7 American Band should be favored, and I believe is much the horse to beat. Dropping down, met much better horses first time out. This is a trainer who has good numbers. Here's some stats for John Ortiz. Maiden special weight to maiden claimer on the dirt. He's 11 for 45 over the last 5 years with a $3.40 ROI. So he's not only winning with a quarter of his stars, but he's winning with horses that are paying almost $14. So he's getting it done with horses that aren't that logical on paper. And this is just the kind of horse that just met a vastly inferior field last time out and will likely run much better in a spot like this.
Trainer who really came onto our radar last year at this meet. I like him a lot in the next race, too, with Majestic Flag.
As I recall, he grew up right by Belmont Park,
behind
right?
Belmont, yeah.
Right. Yeah, we had a story on him. It was great. Really, which was the one you like in the
The
next?
3 Majestic Flag for Ortiz.
Well, we'll talk about that more. Yeah, it certainly seems like a contender. You've got that strange horse inside of it coming here from Robertina Diodoro after losing to out at Santa Anita at short prices.
Yeah, it's more Vedra. Moving to the Diodoro barn. All right, so we're just about all loaded back up. The 3 Doozy Bats back in line. Late scratch of the 9 here, Rowdy Daisy. Let's go to Vic Stoffer, 4th here from Oaklawn Park.
They're at the post. They're off. Slow starts for the X Factor and Quality Chrome. Good start for Star Pose and American Band. Bargain Hunter to the outside. Doozy Bats is next. Then between horses is the gray. That's Elita. Quality Chrome is now third last from Keen Contender, and the trailer is the X Factor. It is up the back stretch. Bargain Hunter, who has taken lead from American Band. These two sprint away. Bargain Hunter a half length. American Band in a tight spot at the rail. She might have to shuffle back. She did, and now she's a length and a half from the front as Star Pose keeps her tucked in at the fence. Alita is next. Quality Chrome catches the eye. She's within 2.5 of the front. 3 back to Doozy Bats. Then comes the X Factor, and the trailer is Keen Contender, and the leader is Star Pose. Star Pose, the leader at the top of the stretch. A length from Bargain Hunter, American Band, and a 4-wide Quality Chrome. Star Pose leads. American Band is now finally in the clear, and now she's coming after the front, as is Quality Chrome. Doozy Bats, final furlong they run, and Star Pose has the lead. She's 2 lengths in front of American Band, who's trying to catching but running out of ground. Star Pose has the lead. American Band a final surge. Star Pose, American Band, Star Pose in front. Star Pose beat American Band by a neck. Keen Contender was third, and Doozy Bats finished fourth.
Star Pose, Dwayne Lucas with the victory, 9-2.
I gotta tell you, Paul LaDuca has been on fire this Oaklawn meeting, and he called it. He said he agreed that 7 was the horse to beat, but he thought the 1 was an interesting horse to use with him. And they were the only 2, and the only 2 that were anywhere close at the finish. The rest were way back. The horrifically bad favorite, I believe, lost the photo, Doozy Bats, and finished 4th in here with Keen Contender getting 3rd. But Star Pose off the layoff, getting Lasix on for Wayne Lucas. Gets it done. Overfavored American Band. American Band ran very well, you know, because he ate pressure on him. He ended up completely packing his tent and ran well to be second there. Didn't have the best trip.
Coming up tomorrow, it's the road to the Kentucky Oaks for 3-year-old fillies. The Busanda, Todd Pletcher. He's had some big success in this race, which we'll talk about when we come back. He'll send out a pair, Gambling Girl and Aniston, tomorrow. Preview coming up.
It's a domineering display by the ultra-talented McKenzie. McKenzie in a dominant performance.
300 Honda, 300,000. 275, medium 275,000. 75, but to get 75, 275,000. 250 on Ralph now, 250,000. Here, but to get but $200,000.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
Every hair, every muscle, every contour, every pulse. In the Juvenile.
Essential quality have won.
In the Belmont.
Essential quality has won the Belmont Stakes.
Well named.
This season at Oaklawn, we've got more of everything. More of the top thoroughbreds in the world. More days of live racing. And the largest purses in our history. All at a completely reimagined Oaklawn. Come be a part of this historic season at Arkansas's only casino resort.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races on our FS2 coverage. Regional networks have just joined us out in Southern California as well. You're watching live horse racing coverage from Aqueduct and Oaklawn, presented by Naira Bets, where you can play it all. Go to nairabets.com, download the app, and get started. We have the late pick 3 coming up next in New York. And that is Shinful in this 6th race here. 6.5 furlong sprint, New York bred's first allowance condition. And she put together a performance last time out, sloppy track, that was, for this level anyway, somewhat eye-catching. Can she do it again?
She can. The other thing is, though, that she was able to get the lead, and I think with the 3 horses inside of her, all of them, or 3 of the horses inside of her, I should say, all potentially have the speed to be in front of her in here. So I'm not sure we'll see her in front. Will she be as good? We'll see. I think she's way overbet at even money.
3 consecutive seconds, then broke through with her maiden score last start. Let's head downstairs to Maggie.
Let's take a look at Preposterous, who does return here off of a near 4-month layoff for Linda Rice. Her first start for the barn did not leave the best of impressions, but we do see her protected here in this New York bred A. Other than, yes, the competition does get a little bit weaker as we go into these winter months in this type of division, but still, I suppose we can take that as a positive. My problem with her, though, is she is one that never changed from 2 to 3 and even from 3 to 4 now that she's a newly turned 4-year-old. She just never really filled out that much. But I will say she is of the frame that, like I talked about earlier, that should like this wet going. She does have that 1 start over it, but it was a good track, and all these wet tracks can be considerably different in how the horses handle them. So I was hoping for a better impression with the time away. It's not there, but I can get where she is a player in this field. As we'll check in with number 6, Shadalamo. She's a venerable type, made 20 starts in 2022 as you wouldn't know that. She is a mare who carries her weight so well. She's just so robust, really must be one that gets into her feed tub with some vigor, to say the least. And yeah, she ran well last time, and she has run well for Eduardo Jones in the past. She's always right there, and the horse that was favored, that she was duking it out on the front end, finished behind her in Tough Street. So I give her credibility for that last effort. But, Greg, there's no doubt about it that your current favorite in here, Shinful, she does feel like the right one.
All right, and here they come, Maggie. Thank you. There's Dylan Davis, having a tremendous start to 2023 after notching more wins on this circuit than anybody last year, continuing his progression. But it's going to be Kenner Carmouche on the one to beat, who's the main threat to Shadalamo in here. Let's take a look at Shadalamo for Eduardo Jones.
It's hard for me, and I picked Shadalamo in here. I know Jonathan likes her too, because I bet her in this race at 14-1. She should have been about 5-1 in here. It was just a ridiculous overlay. She's run well in her career. I don't mind the less distance. She has the win the last time, second to last time she went the 6.5 furlongs. She doesn't need to go longer. She can efficiently go longer. She'll have to be a star who wins 1 race every year or 2. She's just in good form. She seems very logical. I don't understand why Shinful is an overwhelming favorite against her, especially considering it doesn't appear that Shinful has some sort of big pace advantage on paper. I'm a little mystified at this price. I think any of the 3 outside horses can win, Shinful being one of them, but not at even money.
Post parade coming up. Riders up as we approach the 4-minute mark to post here. Race 6, this 6.5 furlong sprint. And again, we saw an even money favorite defeated in the last race, and we got another even money favorite here that does have some question marks. Here's the one, started with stars.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of favorites going down in this pick 6 sequence, actually, with the carryover. This one would blow up. This pick 6 has only run out of town and not particularly fast.
Next store, backed by gold, Andre Worry aboard.
Comes off the claim for Pat Quick, who doesn't claim a lot of horses, from Jeremiah Englehart. We'll see if this horse can take a step forward off the win.
All Jazz showed speed, had the lead at 7/8 and shortens up to 6.5 today.
Does feel like the speed in this race. The question is whether or not she's good enough. She just is a little slow on her speed figures.
Jump to the even money favorite with Kenner Carmouche. Here's Shinful.
I don't have a problem with Shinful, and I think she has turned out to be a better dirt horse, but I think this is a much more competitive field than she met last time.
Shadalamo, who we just showed you in action, Jackie Davis rides.
Makes a lot of sense, and Jackie has ridden her very well in the past.
4-1 on this one here. Preposterous, Linda Rice, Jose Lezcano.
It is interesting. Linda claimed this horse 25,000, moved it up. Horse didn't run well, had an excuse that day, and Linda is not coming back in a claiming race 4 months later. She's coming back at a non-winners of 1, which to me shows a sign of confidence. I think she's dangerous.
And here's the one we skipped over in the post parade because still back getting saddled in the paddock here. This is Burn Rosie Burn, 9-1.
Carlos Martin does not claim too many horses. Off the claim in the dirt, he's 3 for 23 over the last 5 years with a positive ROI because there are a couple of big prices in there. I guess if he improved her a little bit, she'd have a chance to be another big price in his claim wins.
All right, we'll see. Jose Gomez, 5-pound apprentice for a few more days on board there. I want to remind everyone you get a $15 bonus today by playing with Naira Bets. Bet $75 each on Aqueduct and Tampa Bay Downs. You'll get that bonus whether you win or lose. You do have to opt in, so don't forget that step. Go to NairaBets.com, opt in, and get that bonus in your account. 2 minutes to post. Here in the 6th, Shinful. There she is. Even money off of the performance we're going to show you right here on the slop.
And she ran fine in this race, but just so people understand, the horse who was second was a first-time starter. The third-place finish was a fairly moderate Clement horse. Perhaps that horse has run figures that were a little bit better that suggest maybe this buyer figure is a little on the low side. It would probably have to be because from a buyer scale, she's not supposed to be an overwhelming favorite. It seems pretty clear that other figures have her running faster. She can win here, but I think to go from the maiden special win into a first-time non-winner as a 1 and to be 6-5 against this field, especially because it doesn't feel like she's going to be the speed of the speed. She's not that quick. I think she's an underlay in here. I'm not saying she can't win, but I think the 6 and 7 are both better gambles at their prices.
And by the way, we just saw, I took a peek back, Burn Rosie Burn on the track now and hustling to catch up to the rest of the field over at the starting gate. Let's check in with Jonathan for more on his best bet of the day.
Yeah, Wolfie, like we talked about at the top of the show, the 6 Shadalamo is my best bet of the day. Mostly because I thought the horse would be a little bit ignored in here because of the money I thought that the 5 Shinful would take. Now, I'll talk a little bit about the horse I like first, the 6, and then tell you why I'm a little bit against the 5. The 6 Shadalamo, this horse just feels like the type of horse that maybe just wants that cutback. If you look at pace figures, the higher the number, the more energy, the faster a horse maybe ran early. It feels like Shadalamo ran probably a little bit better in the first part of the race, got a little bit tired, still ran extremely well to run second last time, but it just feels like one of those running lines, those pace lines that suggest that the cutback is going to help Shadalamo, drawn towards the outside, seems to really be improving since the switch to Eduardo Jones's barn. It was a slow progression if you look at the speed figures and just seems to kind of be finding her best stride, and I'm just hopeful that the cutback in distance is going to get her into the winner's circle for Eduardo Jones, and I think that could happen here, and I like the price on the board as well. And the reason I'm kind of against the 5 Shinful is this horse started off on the turf, had a lot of nice, okay, turf races, then gets on the dirt, fast dirt, runs pretty well, but then shows up on a sloppy racetrack and really kind of breaks through. And I think in those situations, you have to kind of ask yourself, did the racetrack, did the situation of this day move this horse up? Because the performance seemed to be a bit of an outlier, and there wasn't a whole lot that changed outside of the racetrack, the condition of the racetrack. So you start to kind of question a little bit if this horse is as good as that last performance suggests, and hopefully Maggie can shed a little light on this as well.
It's the same racetrack, Jonathan, and you can see it in the way she warmed up. She just moved beautifully, number 5, Shinful. I get it. I get to be against her. I mean, because a lot of times taking the first step out of maiden ranks into winners for the first time is the toughest step. But I just couldn't get over the way she was moving out there, and just makes a really favorable impression. Not that I have anything against Shadalamo. I would love to see Shadalamo win, and like Andy said, I'm not opposed to her turning back in distance, but I just feel like Shinful is one who appreciates this soppy, sealed racetrack because, Greg, usually kind of play more like turf courses.
Yeah, and, back to what she did last time. It was on a sloppy, sealed track, and that's when she broke through and looked so good. So we'll see if she can do it again against a tougher group she obviously had to deal with last time. Here's Shadalamo, probably her main competition. Don't count out Preposterous, Linda Rice, Jose Lezcano. Always a formidable team. Last in line here. Let's go upstairs. Chris Griffin, race 6 from Aqueduct.
All set. And they're off. Shinful's got early speed down towards the inside. Here comes Back by Gold is going to be in the mix with Byrne, Rosie Byrne. Those three across the racetrack, and joining them will be Holiday Jazz. Makes it 4 across the track here in the opening quarter. Then comes Preposterous, who's in 5th, and at the rail is Started with Stars. The trailer is Shadalamo. It's now a pace duel on the front end as Back by Gold and Holiday Jazz. They throw it down. They're head and head as they work towards the half-mile point. Just off of them is going to be Byrne, Rosie Byrne, a little wide there, Shinful, and following them is Preposterous as they work into the far turn. 22 and 4 for that opening quarter mile. Back by Gold still with a neck in front. Holiday Jazz continues to chase from second. Here's the re-engaging from Shinful from third. Just backed off of that pace a little bit, but is now back for more, and Shinful is moving quickly after Back by Gold. Preposterous is about to take third. Down to the inside there is Byrne, Rosie Byrne, who's losing ground. Very wide Shadalamo. The trailer Started with Stars. A quarter mile left to go. 46 and 4 for the half mile time, and Back by Gold is still there. Shinful has not run by yet. Back by Gold is very game to the inside. Shinful with every chance out in the center of the racetrack, and here comes Shinful right up alongside Back by Gold as they are nose and nose approaching the 16th pole. Shadalamo is launching a big rally from far out of it. Shinful, Back by Gold. Shinful lugging in just a touch. Shinful, Back by Gold. Shinful, Back by Gold. Shinful, and Back by Gold in that photo. Looked like Shinful. Then came a late run Shadalamo in a photo with Preposterous in 1 minute 19.5 at 0 seconds.
Shinful may have just eked this one out here at 4-5.
Yeah, that was not a pretty victory, but seems to have just gotten the job done. Ended up getting a perfect trip. Kendrick looked to be aggressive at the start, but as expected, was outrun by the 3 horses inside of her. They went an honest pace. They did not finish up particularly well. An amazing performance by the 2, Backed by Gold off the claim. I mean, congrats to Pat Quick in a very tough beat, because she ran a heck of a lot better than she's ever run before. Shadalamo just was way too far back in this race. I'm not sure how she ended up being as badly outrun as she was, and she was just left with way too much to do. But they were walking down the stretch. They went the last 16th in almost 7 seconds.
Unexpected challenge from this 2, Backed by Gold for the odds-on favorite, but able to just get it done. It's been unofficially posted 5-2, 7-6. Kendrick Carmouche getting just enough out of this 4-year-old filly who has now won back-to-back starts.
Not what they call winning like a 4-5 shot should. She found the right spot and the right situation to get it done, and I do think the wet tracks have probably helped her in the last 2 starts. We'll see what happens going forward.
Winning for the first time since, well, just moved to the David Donk barn, but he keeps her getting her picture taken. 4-5 favorite, obliges. Some anxious moments, though, if you backed her. Shinful. She's now won 2 in a row after 3 consecutive runner-up finishes. Prices, and we'll set up the 7th when we come back.
Flightline is in full flight. Flightline turns it on at the top of the stretch, and he's in cruise control.
And Flightline takes off!
Take a good look at this, because you're not going to see this too often, maybe never again. Flightline, 20 lengths clear.
World-class racehorse, world-class performance, and a world championship event.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races on our FS2 coverage, brought to you in part by Run Happy. Standing in legendary stall number 1 at Claiborne Farm, never lost in his career while sprinting and did it all while racing medication-free. Shinful battle on her hands as the 4-5 favorite, but she barely prevails. And that's 2 wins in a row now. And David Donk, as you just noted to me, 3 wins over the last 2 days for that barn.
Yeah, David been on a bit of a cold streak since Saratoga, but he turned things around in a big way with a big price firster yesterday. He's now won 3 races in about the last 6 races or 8 races that we've run. So congrats to him. And Shinful found herself with a real tussle there. And a hard luck loser, the second place finisher, probably ran the best race of anybody, frankly. And she really improved off the claim for trainer Pat Quick. Got to give him credit for that. It's a tough beat, though, in here. I think both Preposterous had no excuse. She got there, they walked home, and she couldn't gain. Shadalamo, she just took herself too far back early, but she had her chance.
So 4-5 favorite here in the 6th at pick 3. $106 for a buck with 2 legs remaining in the pick 5 as we go back to Oaklawn right now. Race 5 started late, pick 5 here in this race coming up. 30 maiden claiming route race at a mile and a 16th. An interesting race to kick things off here. Going to start this post parade with this one here. Blowtorch Carl Broberg claimed off of D. Wayne Lucas.
Yeah, now I haven't seen the horse for going on 5 months. The horse was claimed at Ellis Park. Second place finish last time. Makes the horse a contender off that effort at least.
Morvedra, 2 narrow runner-up finishes out on the West Coast.
Yeah, it does get a switch. Same owner, David Hoffmans, who trained the horse, owned the horse, but goes to Robertino Diodoro. Can't hurt.
Majestic Flag, John Ortiz just missed at this level 2 back.
Yeah, and is taking a needed drop after facing tougher last time.
19-1 next door. This is Benissimo for 13.
Has an aberrationally high number last time out. If he could run to it, she could win, or he could win, but the other efforts, not so much.
Not a great thing to be a 5-year-old maiden, and this one is 0 for 16 and making an equipment change.
Yeah, not my kind of horse. Does drop down, but still.
Son of California Chrome, the Derby winner. Cyclone, major contender, 4-1 right now.
I agree. The problem is that this horse lost at 37 cents the $1.03 back and is 0 for 13 with 4 seconds.
Chris Hartman barn on a roll to start this meet. Lilbro Coupe will get on dirt for the first time.
I will say, from a pedigree standpoint, the dam side, the horse has plenty of dirt pedigree.
7-1 right now. I thought Pizza Charlotte, look at the last couple of dirt starts, and this horse is, I thought, one of the main players in here.
I totally agree with you. He's getting back to the right surface, and he is a massive overlay. His dirt races, his last 2, are much better than his synthetic races.
Heir to Greatness. Blinkers go on. Off the claim here, Greg Compton.
Yeah, coming off the claim for a trainer. He's 1 for 8 off the claim with maidens in the dirt, though he's had more success just generally.
And D. Wayne Lucas, toast to coast. Lasix for the first time for start number 3.
Well, I'm waiting for Paula Duca to check in. He's clearly the expert on the Wayne Lucas horses.
He is. He picked D. Wayne's winner in the last race. What do you got for us here, Paulie?
Wow, if I could get another D. Wayne. The greatest part about Wayne is I gave him a little bit, hey, Wayne, and he just gave me the little shooter back to me when he got to the winner's circle last time. He's just a legend. I love him. To get to this race, this race is kind of confusing because when I looked at the race last night and this morning, I thought the 1 Blowtorch or the 7 in here for Chris Hartman, they both look well on the racetrack. The 1 Blowtorch, had been claimed from the Wayne Lucas barn into the Carl Broberg barn. Now, the issue you have with this horse is that the 1 start around 2 turns was not good. This race at Ellis was very, very good. He showed some speed and ran second. Now, he's been laid up since August 27th, and the works are very, very slow. That's kind of Broberg-like. Now, the horse didn't open up live, but, I have a feeling the horse is going to run well today. The 2, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name, Robertino Diodoro. Orlando Mojica is aboard the 2. He came out of the ambulance, and I asked him, are you okay? And he said, actually, I really didn't get kicked. I was very, very close. My horse basically flipped out, and I got very, very lucky to jump out the back. I just got a little bit banged up. That's why I was keeling over, but I'm okay. The 2, Robertino Diodoro is standing right here telling Mojica, stay with the pony all the way to the gate. I go, Robertino, why are you asking? He said, the horse is a little crazy. He can run, but he's a little crazy. So I want to basically save his energy for the race. And then the 3 in here, Majestic Flag, is the horse has taken probably, I guess, the best money in here compared to some of the others in here. And good second two back. And I think has a good shot. I also believe that you guys got the 9 with Greg Compton. I think that horse has got a big shot in here. Heir to Greatness. Pizza Charlie's another one in here. Little Bro Cop is the horse that is the wild card to me because the horse has been running on turf, and I'm just against the 6. And a little story here, guys, on the 4. Benissimo. Ramsey Zimmerman won the second race today for Chris Hartman. That was his first win since 2017. If a lot of people don't remember Ramsey Zimmerman, he had 1,700 wins in 2010. 2011, he got in a lot of trouble and had been dealing with a lot of drug issues, been seeking a lot of help, and has now been clean and sober for the last 3 years. And he got in the winner's circle for the first time since 2017 in race number 2. He's in this race. I had never seen a bigger smile on a man's face than in race 2 in the winner's circle.
I'm going to see him getting back to his winning ways and getting healthy. Meanwhile, look, it's a very competitive race. 7-2 is your favorite. Tells you this is an ultra-competitive pick 5 to start it off.
I agree, but I think the 6 is a horrendous favorite. Now, I know 7-2 is not that low a price, but once again, you're talking about a horse that is over 13, that has some failures at short prices, and Joe Sharp, who does very well in general, he does not have great numbers overall at Oaklawn. Oaklawn's a tough place to ship to. I think it's trickier, it's more difficult. And looking at his numbers, probably one of the tracks he has the least success on. I guess he could win. I think that you and I are both interested in a very interesting horse in here in Pizza Charlie. There are 3 surfaces, synthetic, dirt, and turf. They're all separate. If you just look at this horse, 5 races, or there's a total of 8, but the last 2 times this horse ran in the dirt, this horse easily ran well enough, fast enough to be competitive here at Oaklawn. And I don't love his chances, but he's no 20-1 shot.
I mean, those performances make him maybe at worst second or third choice in the race.
I'm perplexed. It's almost like people aren't really noticing that. Now, listen, he's coming off a layoff. Maybe he's not going to run well, all those things, but he's 20-1, 19-1. You can accept a lot of questions when a horse is that kind of price. To me, it's just a massive overlay.
Well, let's go to Jonathan for more on the race that kicks off this pick 5.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Joe Sharp Runner Cyclone, depending on what the going off price is interesting, but it feels like, for me at least, the 3 Majestic Flag is the one that I kind of want to hook on to. I think I'm going to probably get this price, if not better. But if you look at Majestic Flag, didn't run particularly well first time out, maiden special weight, got pretty realistic with him, dropped in for a tag, ran for 30 at Churchill Downs, and ran well that day. Showed some heart, was trying in the stretch. There's nothing wrong with that, especially at this level. Comes back in at Oaklawn, and I thought ran well considering, had a little bit of trouble going to that first turn, and that's kind of what I feel about these lower level races. It's just, that's the difference. It's not that they're slower than maiden special weights. It's just that they might not have that same determination. They might not have that same grit. They might not have that same amount of talent to overcome adversity, and that's kind of how I feel about this horse. I just feel like Majestic Flag could be improving. It's only raced 3 times, and is kind of coming in third off of a little bit of a fourth off. It could just take that next step forward. Tactical, all the things you like to see. I'm just hoping you can work out a better price. Wouldn't be shocked if the 1 or the 6 win. I just think you're getting a tad bit better value on the 3 Majestic Flag.
All right, JK, thanks. Good luck. It's John Ortiz. We talked about him earlier. David Cabrera will ride for him. And this horse at this level, 2 starts back. It was at Churchill. We just missed in this race. And then he had a trouble trip last start against Tuffer.
Oh, there's a lot of horses that can win this race. I think this race is absolutely wide open, and the board suggests it. You've got a 7-2 favorite. You've got 4-1, 5-1, 6-1, 7-1. Public's betting is an open race. I think you and I have just spied a horse that we feel is an overlay at 18-1, and these are the kind of horses I have to always bet a few dollars on. I'm going to bet a horse like this at close to 20-1 every single time. They'll win more than 1 in 20.
It's Pizza Charlie, the 8 we're talking about. Been off since early July and sort of just hidden form. The last 3 starts came on synthetic. There's a couple of dirt starts in there for maiden 30, maiden 40. They were here. He ran 3rd in both. He was beat by less than 2 lengths in both.
And keep in mind, this horse was ran at Oaklawn previous in 21 for a trainer that was 2%. So moved into a better barn. So I don't think those improvements are substantial. And look at how much this horse improved from synthetic to dirt, and then how much she dropped off when she went back, or he went back to the synthetic. And to me, I think it seems obvious, but some people don't seem to understand this. There's little more important than surface. I mean, a horse can be there are stakes horses on one surface that would be claimers on another surface. So I'm only interested in the races the 8 ran on dirt, and the last 2 are good enough to win here, and the horse is 18-1.
See if he can spring the big upset. Walter De La Cruz will ride. Favorite's been going back and forth, but it's Cyclone. Joe Sharp the 6 with Gabriel Saez, 7-2, mild top choice on the board. Tough race to start off this pick 5. Vic Stauffer with the call.
Pizza Charlie. Chrome Run is ready. Heir to Greatness is in. Last to load. Toast to Coast. They're at the post. They're off. Morvedra is asked for speed and goes right to the front from Lil Bro Coop, who concedes the lead. Cyclone is next, and between horses, Majestic Flag with Blowtorch at the rail. Pizza Charlie very wide at the hotel turn, followed by Toast to Coast and Heir to Greatness. At the back of the pack are Chrome Run and Benissimo. Morvedra to the backstretch, a 2-length lead on Blowtorch and Majestic Flag, together second and third. Lil Bro Coop is fourth in the yellow cap and about 5 from the front, a half-length in front of the gray Cyclone at the rail. Pizza Charlie has 7 lengths to make up. Heir to Greatness just past him. 3 back to Toast to Coast, another 2 to Chrome Run, and Benissimo is the trailer. 13 lengths first to last, and Morvedra takes him at the half-mile pole and leads by 2. Now, fellow Californian Lil Bro Coop is going to move up after him, and here comes Lil Bro Coop outside of Majestic Flag, and those two are after Morvedra, who only now leads by a half length. Majestic Flag is between horses, and Lil Bro Coop to the outside, and those two have caught Morvedra, and they have passed Morvedra. So the new leader is Lil Bro Coop. He's a neck in front of Majestic Flag. Heir to Greatness to the outside is in third with Cyclone in fourth. Lil Bro Coop, the one to catch. It is Lil Bro Coop, 3/4 of a length to Heir to Greatness, who comes and takes him on the outside. And Lil Bro Coop and Heir to Greatness are 1-2. Heir to Greatness and Lil Bro Coop, they're matching strides. 4 back to Majestic Flag and Cyclone. Heir to Greatness now puts a neck, now a half, now a full length in front. And Lil Bro Coop is back to second. And Heir to Greatness is going to run away and win it. Heir to Greatness. Heir to Greatness won by 3.5. Lil Bro Coop was second, Majestic Flag third, and Cyclone finished fourth.
Heir to Greatness out-dueling the horse getting on dirt for the first time. Christian Torres, Greg Compton claiming off of Al Stall for the win.
Yeah, congratulations to Connections. Claimed this horse back in October, waited about 3 months. Got into a race, claimed this horse from Al Stall, and this horse really improved. I think this horse is a big price, right?
7-1, actually got bet down quite a bit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, they were right about my horse, Pizza Charlie. He ran like he should have been 120-1.
Heir to Greatness, maiden breaker after 4 prior starts, not hitting the board. Couple of them on turf. Going to get back to New York when we return. That's got the gold. Linda Rice will have Eric Cancel aboard. Right now, this is the favorite in this non-winners of 2 claiming 7 furlong sprint coming up.
The Run Happies are hot, hot, hot with his 2-year-olds burning up the track. Recent top runners include this growing list of winners at Churchill Downs. Plus the speedy 2-year-old colt, Happy is a Choice, a 5-length maiden winner at Keeneland.
Happy is a Choice, Francisco Arrieta to win it.
Price for value and turning up the heat. Call today and book your mare to Eclipse Champion Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than America'sBestRacing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues.
Cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. America's Best Racing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
History remembers moments of extraordinary strength, skill, and determination. True greatness is forged by those who fulfill their destiny.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back on America's Day at the Races, our program brought to you by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net. Today, race 7 at Aqueduct, 7 furlongs. It is a $25,000 claiming race. They're all for sale for that price. They've not won 2 lifetimes, just maiden winners in this group. We showed you the 4 going to break. That's still the favorite. Here's our post parade. We start with Midnight Worker Amira Shashakli.
Mira Shockley's quietly been doing very well lately. She ran in an impossible spot, or he did last time out. His race 2 back gives him a chance. He's a player.
2 down, Andre Worry for Jeffrey Engelhart.
Yeah, I thought he was a little overmatched based on his recent races.
Drop out of an allowance race last time out. Ava Kay's boy, 7-1, 8-1.
Feels like could be a bit forwardly placed more so than last time. Second off a long layoff.
Here's the favorite, 5-2 for Linda Rice.
He's okay, but he's also 1 for 20. And he's 5-2. Not for me.
6 seconds, 3/3. Storied Fella is going to put blinkers on today.
Yeah, he's going to need an engine to come along with those blinkers because he's got to speed up to win this race.
Abundant Honor, some big efforts, including Belmont and Aqueduct, to break his maiden.
I wonder if less distance can help this horse. He obviously fell apart last time out, but his prior efforts make him contender. I picked him on top, but 5-2, an awfully short price.
7-2 next door on Brajol, Orlando Noda.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this horse. Is moving up as an ex-Todd Pletcher horse, and I just thought it was a tougher spot. Though he lost to horses that ran okay yesterday.
Big efforts that he had, they came with Pletcher.
Yeah.
And here's Persistent Danger.
Exactly. Just seems overall consistently a little slower than these. Horse been a huge price in the last 2 starts, Persistent Danger.
4 minutes away. Race 7 here in New York. All the action, of course, you could play. Get signed up with Now Our Bets. $200 deposit match sign-up bonus. With that code, match 200, and bet any track, anywhere, anytime at NowOurBets.com. So the 7th race, favorite still the 4. 5-2 on Got the Gold. There's Abundant Honor. This is the Tom Morley runner. He just claimed this horse off of John Kimmel. Really didn't show up last start. This horse was 5-2 in that race for this same condition and was a no-show.
Yeah, no, I agree. A poor performance. And this is the win 3 back. Now, to be fair, this win was very much the track in his favor. It was an outside track that day, but he ran well. He's run fast before. I mean, don't forget this horse who was second behind Scalding in a sloppy track at Gulfstream. Scalding went from that race to win stake races. In fact, finished out of Cody's Wish in a stake not long after that at Tampa Bay. The next race wasn't that bad, really, trying to get 1 1/8 the next time out, showing uncharacteristic speed. Things obviously went awry last time out. There's no apparent excuse I could find. But I'm hoping this horse can get back to the better races, and why I picked him, because Got the Gold's 1 for 20. I don't want to pick him on top. And the only other horse I considered using was the 1 Midnight Worker.
So 3 minutes to post. See if moving to a new barn, Abundant Honor can kind of refine some of that form that made him successful. Let's go to Jonathan for more.
Yeah, with Abundant Honor, I guess the concern is when a horse shows up for a tag and runs poorly, you have to kind of wonder, well, did that poor performance, did the previous trainer foresee that poor performance, enter the horse in for a tag, someone else claimed them, now they have the horse. It doesn't necessarily mean that the horse is going to be able to revert back to some of those previous races. I'm going to go with Abundant Honor can run back to some of those previous races. Tom Morley does well off the claim. He can move horses up. We've seen that before. But this horse just has some performances that are big standouts against some of these other horses in here. If you look at that race 3 back, I don't think it was as good as it looked, but I do think it was still pretty darn good. If you look at the race back at Gulfstream in January, this horse can find this race. He wins by the length of the stretch. I just feel like there's more upside with Abundant Honor in finding his previous form. If he can find that, I think he's going to be extremely hard to beat. With the rest of them, they all kind of feel the same. They all look the same. I've got no interest in taking a horse like the 4 Got the Gold. It just feels like these horses are all the same. And Mag, I know you don't typically give too much when it comes to your husband's barn, but maybe you can give us a little hint this horse is training well.
Well, I can just give you the hint that he looks better than what he did last time. I was really against him. He had lightened up. He did not look good in his coat when he took that precipitous drop in for the 25. And now the weight and conditioning's back on, kind of like when I saw him second after the layoff, in which did result in a maiden breaking performance. And as Andy and I were discussing, he's a horse that's half to Skylar Scramjet, who's a stakes winning sprinter. So I like him based upon that, and 2, given the fact that he looks like shorter is better. So we'll see how he does here. I'm just going to opt for one that's a better price because I do like the way Midnight Worker ran 2 back in this same spot. He broke well, then he was shuffled back well in the inside, and then re-rallied. And last time he just had no shot in a much tougher spot. Weight is great for him. I feel like when this horse carries his weight well, we usually see him run well. And I want to mention number 3, Ava K's Boy, who's second off of a layoff and in a arguably easier spot here today. He was ultra sharp and really well developed behind the saddle. I just thought we might see an improvement with a slight drop in class and with just having that tightener under his belt, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thank you. Loading up here, 6-horse Abundant Honor for Maggie's husband has become the favorite with Dylan Davis.
He's now, I think, legally changed his name, actually, to Maggie's husband. He's just going to be known for that. I mean, let's face it, that's how everybody knows him, right?
At least on this show.
Maybe his family doesn't call him Maggie's husband.
No,
his parents. Sure, Maggie's kids do.
Really good meets that, he's starting to get noticed, no question. The 8, stepping in, Persistent Danger. We're set. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
And they're off. Persistent Danger's got speed from the outside draw. Down towards the inside here is Ava K's Boy. Brajol is in that early fray. Storied Fella in between horses. 5 across the racetrack with Midnight Worker in the early mix as well. Persistent Danger is now ahead in front. Here's the pressure from Midnight Worker, who now is going to put a head back in front. And it's going to be Midnight Worker who's got the lead. Persistent Danger, Brajol, Abundant Honor. They are tightly bunched on the front end. They all want a piece of that front end. Storied Fella is back to the 5th position. Got shuffled back with Ava K's Boy. Towards the tail end of the field, Got the Gold, and the trailer is 2 down, 23.37. It's a controlled tempo, but it was pressured. Less than 4 furlongs to go. And to the inside here, it's Midnight Worker who's got the lead. Persistent Danger is right there from second. 3 wide as Brajol and Jose Gomez ranging up after these leaders. In behind them, Storied Fella lost some ground, but is re-rallying, is in the 4th position alone. Losing ground is Abundant Honor, then ABK's Boy. A lot of work to do there for Got the Gold, and also 2 down. 3 across the racetrack as they approach a quarter mile left to go. 46-4 was that half-mile time, drifting well off the rail. It's Brajol who's ready to challenge Persistent Danger, who is a nose in front. It's Persistent Danger down to the inside, Midnight Worker. Brajol down the center of the racetrack, a final furlong. Brajol and now Midnight Worker. It's down to these 2. Midnight Worker is back for more. Brajol is trying to push on by. Midnight Worker doing all the heavy lifting up front. Midnight Worker is back in front. Brajol couldn't pass. Midnight Worker is your winner. Midnight Worker over Brajol, then Persistent Danger, and Storied Fella in 1 minute, 25.39 seconds.
Midnight Worker showing some grit down the stretch. Amira Shishakli and Jason Juarez, who relatively new to the circuit, continuing to impress.
Yeah, Jason Juarez, a very promising 7-pound bug rider. You're going to see him have a good winter here. I think if you watch this race, the first thing you're thinking is, well, the horse went to the lead, they were contesting, he's going to fall back. But I said to you, the one's not done yet. You could see that Jason hadn't really asked the one to run. Even though he was on the lead in the inside, he wasn't pushing the horse along as much. He was saving something. And Brichot made the run, and he might have looked like he was getting by him, but Wes, he saved some horse there. And Mira Shishakli, she hadn't won a race yet in 2023, but she'd had a good run to end last year. We started with a big price here a couple weeks ago. I think when you were gone, Liam's something, I don't say Liam's map, whatever, finished second at 20-1. And this is a nice win here at 5-1 and a gutsy one as well. And boy, the favorites, the two choices were coming. I mean, the number 4 horse in here got the gold. I think there was a search party out for him at the start. And I mean, Abundant Honor looked to have some good position for about 3/8 of a mile, and then he just went out the back door.
1-7-8-5 Midnight Worker, 5-1, another upset on a small pick 6 carryover Friday afternoon. Well, the prices for you when we come back. Get into the nightcap. We still have plenty coming up from Oaklawn as well. Their late pick 4 is next. Stay with us here on America's Day at the Races.
Catholic Boy, one of only 3 American 3-year-old colts in history to win Grade 1s on both dirt and turf, including the immortal Secretariat. A 6-time graded stakes winner from ages 2 to 4, and the fastest 3-year-old of his crop over 10 furlongs.
He's so impressive today, the others didn't even have a prayer. Catholic Boy rolls in the run. Happy Travers.
Dual surface Grade 1 winner Catholic Boy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races, our program brought to you where you can play all the action at NYRA Bets. Go to NYRABets.com to get signed up and started. Race 7 in New York, Midnight Worker, $13.40 for the slight upset score to get the second win of this 4-year-old's career.
Yeah, and I once again, I mean, a very good ride by Wes on this horse. A good ride, being aggressive for position, but then saving something for the stretch. And a nice ride. Amira's been on a good run for her, so good for her as well. And just a horse who's in a much more reasonable spot. She improved this horse off the claim, put him in a spot, who knows, maybe she was helping the racing office help a race go. That just was not the right spot for him last time, judging by his 36-1 and his finish. Right spot today, though, and got rewarded for it. And a nice ride.
So Midnight Worker, maiden win came at Saratoga 2 summers ago in the debut.
Yeah.
Has not won since.
This horse ran okay first time out. That was a pretty fast pace. It wasn't a fast race, but the horse engaged in a fast pace. Wow, took a long time. You never know, huh?
Here's a look at the late pick 5. Shin Full barely as an odds-on favorite in at least 4-1 or better in every other race.
Looking at like a 70, 140. You're looking at a pretty substantial. Looking at a parlay right now, it's about $800 for $2.
This will close it out. 6.5 furlong sprint. First allowance condition race. And 7-5 favorite. Wow.
Pick 4s are huge.
King Angelo. I know you like him.
I picked against him, but he's the worst.
You did? Okay.
Yeah. I just didn't want him at a super short price.
Okay.
I think he's way the worst to beat.
I picked against him as well.
Who'd you pick? I picked the 9. I picked the 9, 8, 7.
3 a little bit.
Okay. Well, we'll discuss that.
Todd Pletcher. That's some big wins in the Busanda. Princess of Silmar comes to mind. He's going to have 2 shots at it with Gambling Girl and Aniston. On Saturday, we'll have a preview coming up.
The return of Sunday Silence.
Sunday Silence surges to the front.
It's Yoshida in front. Yoshida takes charge at the top of the stretch, and Yoshida wins the Turf Classic.
Here comes Yoshida, storming home in the center with Gunnevera. Yoshida! Yoshida has won the Woodward.
The perfect balance. Yoshida.
We take pride in what we do.
For me, it's more of a passion than actual work. I'm an assistant trainer.
Carpenter.
I'm a peace officer.
I'm a jockey.
I'm a gardener.
I'm a groom.
Clocker.
Assistant starter.
Trainer. ESL teacher.
I love what I do.
There's so many jobs that come together every day. It's a collective effort that really makes this ball go round.
We are New York Racing. I couldn't imagine working anywhere else.
For me, riding horses in the morning is the best thing I can do.
New York Racing helps support my small business.
It's extremely important to the New York economy.
Like my dream come true.
This is like a big family.
We are New York Horse Racing.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Three quarters in 113. Princess of Silmar is now coming on through towards the rail. Here's Princess of Silmar to take the lead with a furlong to the finish. Princess of Silmar in front by 3. Then Ruby Lips, Anasia, and Coconut Shrimp. 3 straight wins for Princess of Silmar. She pours it on in the stretch.
3 straight wins in a row with that Busanda performance by more than 31 lengths combined. She'd go on to win some even bigger spots.
She was a pretty good horse. I thought she and Shabby and Beholder should have shared the Eclipse Award that year. I don't have any problem with Beholder won the Breeders' Cup and ran so well in second to her in Kentucky Oaks, but she had too good a season not to be rewarded with an Eclipse Award.
Kentucky Oaks, Coaching Club, American Oaks, Alabama.
Beat Royal Delta.
Incredible.
I picked against her in every one of her starts in those races.
Of course you did.
That's how I became friends with Eddie Stanko. He used to come and he used to show up and he used to tease me all the time. So I kept picking against her.
One of 5 winners in the Busanda for Todd Pletcher. He's going to have 2 chances to try and win number 6 in our ABR Race of the Week. 1 1/8 miles on the road to this year's Kentucky Oaks. They'll send out Gambling Girl, who has the rail, and Aniston, who has the outside post in what is just a 5 filly race.
Yeah, I mean, Gambling Girl did improve last time, and she was narrowly beaten by Affirmative Lady in the Demoiselle. And I think they're both players in here, but you know, that Demoiselle completely collapsed. And this race is a very different race on paper. It's a small field, and number 2, a colt on paper, is a controlling speed. Affirmative Lady may be a horse improving with distance. You can't deny that. And listen, there's a lot of people that think the horse who won this race, Julia Shining, is going to be a major player in the division. I'm withholding judgment on that based on this performance. Maybe she didn't love a wet track, and that's possible. And if that's the case, then I think there's more upside in Julia Shining. But I think she struggled to beat horses that I'm still not sold on. And Affirmative Lady probably is better in distance. Grand Motion tried to run her in a maiden race, didn't fill, so we went to the stake instead.
Well, here's his Curlin filly. She went for over $500,000 in start number 2. stretching out to 1 1/8 miles. She broke her maiden. She did so in a very slow time, though.
Yes, I'm glad I didn't pay $500,000 for her, but then again, I don't really have $1 million to spend on horses. If they give her a head start in here, I think she has a chance.
You give her no chance whatsoever.
No horses have no chance, but to me, she's a 15-to-1 shot on paper. She's just so slow. I mean, it is Todd Pletcher, and she's lightly raced, so she could improve. But I think she's got to improve immeasurably, and she's got to do it against another Pletcher horse. And horses trained by Chad Brown that has a pace advantage. They're 18 Beyer points higher in breaking her maiden, and a Graham Ocean horse.
Yeah, a colt is the Chad Brown for Alpha Delta Stables, who broke her maiden, start number 2. She improved quite a bit in start number 2.
Yeah, now I must say, I'm not saying any of these horses have shown to be any kind of superstar, but a colt, I assume, will be the favorite. She has the fastest Beyer figure, and she's the favorite on paper. And she seems to be getting stronger going farther, but, she was hard-ridden to win this race as well. But it was a faster race. Interesting race, and listen, they're getting started, but at least this race, it could be a Kentucky Oaks prep, because it wasn't that long ago that the winner did win the Kentucky Oaks.
We will have it for you on Saturday. We hope you join us tomorrow for our coverage of the ABR Race of the Week. Busanda on the road to this year's Kentucky Oaks for 3-year-old fillies, first Friday in May. We go back to Hot Springs, Arkansas, and a 6-furlong sprint coming up in this $20,000 claiming race. Horses who have not won 2 lifetime, and a lot of love, as expected, for Victory March in here. Brett Calhoun, who broke through dropping in for a tag for the first time last start at Fairgrounds.
Yeah, I got to get my act together. Sorry, I'm still looking at our races.
All right, here's Lansdowne to kick things off, moving to the Tammy Hornsby barn.
Yeah,
Wayne Lucas.
Claimed off Wayne Lucas, moving up in class for a barn that was 6 for 85 last year.
Next door, Uptown Hustler, who 2-back was a winner and then faced a horse who had 2 wins at Saratoga this summer.
But this horse was claimed from Wesley Ward, dropped precipitously, and had avoided claim the next time out. Not for me.
Becoming a pattern.
Yeah.
Ace High Royal Ron Moquette's having a great start to the meet.
Yeah, comes off a maiden win last time. Probably going to have to improve to win this race, but not impossible.
They're in a 73 Beyer in the debut at Oaklawn back in March. GT 350 Ingrid Mason.
This is a long shot. A horse who's overmatched on paper.
5's a scratch. The 6 Drifter, Kim Poole, has brought home a couple of huge prices in the last couple of weeks.
Well, this would be another one in here because this horse just doesn't really look fast enough at 1:15, 5 seconds.
Namesake, 9-2, Tom Swearingen.
Yeah, it makes a significant drop, though, second time at Oaklawn, second time of a small layoff, and I thought was dangerous in here.
Mike Pewit's runner, a little bit interesting. The horse did win the debut on dirt at Charlestown.
I agree, but just has to get faster.
8-5 favoritism, Victory March. Appears, there's the big long shot we were just talking about in Morrill, by the way. I thought appeared to be pretty heavy favorite, deserving.
Well, I mean, the horse has a slew of 4 of the races ran Beyers in the 70s, which just overwhelms this field. I mean, the only horses that all can come close to that is Uptown Hustler, who is a private purchase for what it's worth since the last start.
Okay. And here's Schmooze. Steve Asmussen's been a tough meet for him, surprisingly. 14-1 with the sun aboard.
Yeah, I don't think his career is over yet, but right now he's a little quiet.
14-1.
We won't bury him just yet.
Minute to post. 6th at Oaklawn starts the late pick 4. We'll hear from Paul LaDuca on this race when we come back.
Tampa Bay Downs has a rich thoroughbred horse racing history in Florida dating back to 1926. Celebrities such as Babe Ruth, Jack Dempsey, and John Ringling all attended opening day. Saturday, January 14th is Skyway Festival Day. Watch talented 3-year-olds compete in 2 $125,000 stakes races, the Pasco for Colts and Geldings and the Gasparilla for fillies. Featuring full fields, great turf track racing, and a 15% takeout on RPIC 5, Tampa Bay Downs has live racing every Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
We're back on America's Day at the Races, getting set for race 6 at Oaklawn. Started their late pick 4 favorite. Victory March, 6-5 favorite. Paulie, your thoughts?
Well, I think he's the horse to beat by far in here, Greg. You know, Andy hit the nail on the head. He's got 4 races in here that probably win this race. Now, the toughest thing to do is to face winners for the first time. I do think the 7 looked tremendous on the racetrack. Namesake for Tom Swearington having a great meet. And Uptown Hustler, pretty weird that this horse got so privately, considering this horse got claimed by Jason Barkley, an ex-assistant of Wesley Ward, now in the Martin Villafranco barn. I just can't figure this out. I thought this race was just cold 7-10 or 10-7, Greg.
All right, Paulie, thanks. Let's go to Vic Stauffer for the call. Here's race 6, Oaklawn.
They're at the post. They're off. Lansdowne and GT53 show speeds. Schmooze is in the center. These 3 are quickest with Ace High Royal up into second. Schmooze going to cross and clear for Keith Asmussen. Schmooze to the clear front. Then comes Victory March, followed by Immoral and Drifter, and the trailer is Namesake. So Schmooze tries to get the rail, but Lansdowne is going to try to get up in there. This could get very tight going into the far turn. Lansdowne going to have to wait. Meanwhile, Ace High Royal, GT53, and a 5-wide Victory March all chase Schmooze around the far turn. Then it's 2 lengths, 2. Uptown Hustle and Immoral. Namesake is unwinding from the back of the pack, but he will be 6 wide turning for home. 3 back to the trailer Drifter, and the leader is still Schmooze. Schmooze at the top of the stretch, 1.5 lengths in front of Ace High Royal in second. Lansdowne is at the rail, GT53, Victory March, and Namesake. Schmooze has a final furlong to get. Here's Ace High Royal and Lansdowne. They are bracketing him. Lansdowne moves through and takes the lead at the rail. Schmooze is back to second. Ace High Royal is third, then Immoral and Drifter, but Lansdowne rides the fence and he's gone. Lansdowne now 3 in front. Ace High Royal second, Lansdowne in front. Lansdowne won by 4.5. Ace High Royal was second. Schmooze third. Drifter finished 4th.
Lansdowne just claimed off of the coach, Steve Wayne Lucas, and right into the winner's circle. Actually jumped this horse up in class off the claim.
There was nothing that happened in this race that made any sense to me, Greg. I don't know how the 11 got to the lead.
Yeah.
The horse doesn't even have speed going a mile, so credit Keith Asmussen for a good aggressive ride. The number 10, who was caught out in the middle of the racetrack, was basically eased around the turn. And this horse, who I could never have had, claim from Wayne Lucas, and as you say, moving up. I mean, I guess you could say the horse had a chance off the race 2 back for Wayne, but claim for an outfit that isn't exactly winning a lot of races. And congrats if you had this horse. Congrats to New Connections. Glad I didn't bet.
Nightcap coming up in New York, race 8. Again, 6.5 furlongs. Entry level allowance. You're taking a look at the entry there, 5-1. That is Zertz, 1/2 of that entry for David Jacobson coming in from Penn National. Let's head downstairs to Maggie.
Greg, this is a field in which I usually tend to enjoy these upper level allowance dirt sprinters, even here in the middle of winter at the Big A. It's just a good looking group overall. So let's start by talking about Zertz, who Greg was just mentioning. He is the new face coming in from Penn. Reading an article that Dave Grenning posted on the Daily Racing Form, had said that he was a horse that took Jacobson's attention because he was constantly running against him down at Penn, and he was one that was always showing up, including getting beaten by Jacobson's Handsome Cat, who also run against in here today too. He's an energetic type, which you like to see with horses coming in here with speed. He's settled down a little bit since getting the tack on, but still poised and ready to pounce, I would say, and makes a favorable impression overall. I'm not in love with him. There's some other horses I prefer in here, but still, you always pay attention to how these horses look physically when coming in from maybe lesser known tracks, and he matches up quite nicely with the rest of his competition. Do want to mention that King Angelo looks fantastic here and is definitely the main threat to the entry. But taking a look at number 3, who also comes in from Pennsylvania, but from Parks, mid laner, I've been impressed with what I've seen from Michael Moore's horses that he does bring here to New York. Yeah, that nice turf sprinting 3-year-old. And mid laner, last time out, he did beat Quick Flash, who did return yesterday to win with an 85 Beyer. And he's a horse that, based upon his record and based upon what you see here in the paddock looking at him, prefers a wet track, and he gets it. Another one that ships in nicely. Big, strapping horse, a lot of range to his frame. So I like what I'm seeing from him. I can see where they opted to run him longer in the past. But the fact that he was able to get up going the 5.5 last time, I think speaks to how well he is doing. And then finally, the horse that looked best in here is number 6, Ryan's Cat for Gustavo Rodriguez. There's an argument that he's been facing some of the best fields. I thought he ran well last time, chasing behind horses. And once he got clear finally, he wasn't reacting well to the kickback, but he ran on. He is thriving right now. And he's a horse that in the past, I know him, he does have a lot of that kind of back class and form here in the Big Apple. He runs best when it is cooler over here at Aqueduct. He just has his game face on for today, Greg.
Thank you, Mag. I'm surprised Ryan's Cat's that big a price right now, 8-1. I thought he was a major player as well.
I'm surprised he's that big a price. I think he's a much more likely winner than either half of the entry. And I agree. I mean, I picked him 4th, but I agree. I don't think he should be that big a price, especially relative to some others here.
Here comes part of the entry. This is Zerts. David Jacobson just claimed this horse, who ran a Penn National last start.
Yeah, I'm not betting horses off Penn National for him. They rarely reproduce the air, but he does look like the speed on paper.
Handsome Cat, the other half of that entry with Kendrick.
Just thought he was a little too slow to compete with this field.
Mid laner's going to get the rail coming in from Parks.
I know you like this horse more than I do. I don't see it. His biggest fig was at 5.5 furlongs and in the slop with a quick pace.
Ryan's Cat. Looks like game face is on for him. He's 8-1.
Yeah, I can't disagree. He shouldn't be 8-1 here. He's not impossible.
Nice appearance as well. 12th
I know.
man. Michelle Nevin.
I think he's very dangerous. He ran extremely well behind King Angelo last time, and he was coming off a long layoff in there and had the widest trip after breaking a step slow.
King Angelo, the favorite at 7-5.
Manny Franco's supposed to be aggressive. Now, he does have to deal with the speed of the 1 here, and he's never won rating, but he's way the horse to beat.
Ship Station, he gets back to sprinting off a long layoff. He ran pretty good sprinting when he returned.
I picked him. He ran okay that day. He was wide against a good rail and comes back on short rest, and he went 1 1/8. Today's the day that Ship Stational's got to show up.
Kelly Breen with Eric Cancel on the 10.
Just doesn't seem fast enough. His second race got a good figure, but that was at Gulfstream. The rest of them just aren't fast enough. He's the only horse not covered in the pick 6.
Ooh. All right. Not likely, but you never know. 7-5 favorite, King Angelo. Jorge Abreu, the horse, most of his starts have come on turf. He has had 3 dirt starts, all second-place finishes, including last time out in the mud.
The mistake that was made with this horse is he debuted here in the winter, I think December of 2020. And he got left the gate and rushed up the duel in a wicked pace going 7 furlongs in the dirt and ran extremely well to finish second. And for some reason, they shipped this New York bred down to Florida to run on the turf. So that was the mistake number 1. And he ran well enough on the turf, they left him on the surface. But the reality is, I think he was a better dirt horse. You look at the day he was second. He was second behind Water's Edge, who wanted to be a New York bred stakes horse. He never really gave him the chance, and there were multiple times he was reined off the turf, and they scratched him, including a couple times at Saratoga. It was the most puzzling thing. Well, when Jorge Abreu took over the training, I spoke to him about it, and he agreed with me. He said, I really like the way he trains on it, and I agree. I think he's a better dirt horse. It's a question of convincing the owner. Well, he did, and he ran exceptional last time. He just got the misfortune of running into a buzzsaw in a race loaded with speed. Less speed today, should be able to stalk. If he's comfortable stalking and winning, I believe he's going to be very hard to beat. I try to beat him because I'm looking for a slightly better price, and the cat's out of the bag. He's 6-5. He could be even money, and he's supposed to be a short price. But I'm going to take one small shot to beat him with Ship Stational.
Yeah, 5-1 right now. And this is a horse, New York bred, that made some waves on the Triple Crown Trail last year when he was a runner-up in the Sam F. Davis. He was 3rd in the Tampa Bay Derby, both those behind Classic Causeway. Coming back, he struggled a bit, although when he first returned off the bench sprinting, that was his best effort off the bench. Let's go to Jonathan for more.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the important part about it, right, is you don't really need to necessarily consider what he's done in his last 2 starts. I understand that when he was facing 3-year-olds, maybe he was a little bit further along, and he was able to travel distances against those horses, and it maybe kind of fooled the connections that he was a 2-turn horse. But what I think they might have discovered in the last 2 races is that maybe he does want to go shorter. Maybe he just ran well going longer because of who he was facing, where he was from a maturity standpoint. And I think if you look at his race on that comeback race where he had an excuse to kind of need a race after that long break, he ran well enough. Like Andy said, wide against a racetrack, he probably wanted to be inside. He puts the blinkers on and cuts back. I love that idea of that cutback for this horse. And if he can kind of show us, I promise on everything, this is his last chance with me. I've kept giving him chances thinking he was going to show up like he did as a 3-year-old, and he just hasn't done that yet. But he's had some excuses. His excuses are over after today if he does not run well on the cutback.
Well, he's 5-1 right now, Jonathan Dake. You're talking about the 9, Shipsational, the New York bred. Looked like he potentially could have an impact on the Triple Crown Trail before he went to the sidelines. Or he did have an impact, I should say, in the Triple Crown before he went to the sidelines.
He lost to a horse that should be pointed towards the Carter in last year's Belmont Derby winner that will be cursed forever by winning that turf race. I would love to see Classic Causeway back in dirt sprints. Ran a 92 buyer in his debut going 7 furlongs at Saratoga and has never sprinted on the dirt since. Craziness.
There's part of the entry stepping in. Post 2 for Zertz, the 1. Stablemate's going to be next door in post 3. Handsome Cat. And that number getting even bigger on Ryan's Cat, who made a very nice appearance on the track as well.
It's dead on the board.
There he is. With Romero Mirage for Gustavo Rodriguez.
I think if the favorite loses, it'll be to the 7 or 9. It's my very clever opinion. I don't get all the money for this entry, but people just love losing money on entries. It's the let's make a deal question. Only one of them can win.
Waiting on the 10. The only one not covered, you said, in the pick 6?
Correct.
Here we go. Let's go upstairs. Nightcap from New York. Chris Griffin, the call.
All in line. All set. Just a little unsettled there towards the outside. Now we're set. And they're off. Speed from Zertz and the red cap is down towards the inside. There's mid laner holding that rail position in the center of the racetrack is King Angelo. In between horses, here comes Handsome Cat. That's the leading 4. Ryan's Cat is going to be wide. Here is 12th man. Shipsational is going to be 5 wide up the backstretch. Magianera is the trailer. They're chasing Zertz, and Zertz has got the lead. Zertz is alone up front, is up by a clear length. Right there in second is the favorite, King Angelo. Mid laner tightly at the rail in third as they approach 4 furlongs left to go. 22 and 3 for the opening quarter mile. Zertz will take him into the far turn. King Angelo in perfect stalking position from second. Mid laner still tight at the rail in third. The rail looks to be open here for mid laner who tries to poke on through. 12th man is rallying on from fourth. In between horses there is Handsome Cat. Ryan's Cat is losing some ground. Shipsational. Magianera has trailed throughout as they approach a quarter mile left to go. 46 and 1 was that half mile time. 3 across the racetrack. The rail is open for mid laner. King Angelo's got the lead. In between horses there is Zertz. 12th man out in the center of the racetrack as well, but King Angelo has now kicked clear. King Angelo is up by a quick length and a half. Call it 2 for a final furlong. In between horses here, it's a battle on for places. Handsome Cat is there with 12th man, mid laner at the rail, but this one's over. King Angelo, Manny Franco striding away, and they will win the finale easily. King Angelo gets the victory. Tight here for second. It's a photo. Mid laner's in there with Handsome Cat and also 12th man in 1 minute 17.98 seconds.
King Angelo, a dominant performance here to close out the card in New York, is the 3-2 favorite.
He showed the ability to rate today, and that's all he needed to do. This is a horse that's finally found the right surface, and now that he's run as well as he has, I think we can forget about seeing him run the turf anymore. He's running where he belongs. This wasn't a terrible field, and he absolutely destroyed them.
At a short price. So King Angelo, 4th win of his career, 1st win on surface other than turf.
And he didn't just win, he absolutely and totally smothered this field. A tough beat for the 7 for second. It was wide around the racetrack. The horses had saved a lot of ground in there, but no doubt about this one. A Shipsational, he just can't run it all anymore.
Manny Franco, I mistakenly said top of the program or early on that he won the nightcap on Sunday.
You meant today.
Opener.
You meant today.
Yeah. I was looking ahead. But had that, 11-win Friday through Sunday last week to be named National Rider of the Week. And he collects another one here on King Angelo, 6-year-old who gets his first dirt win. And, yeah, it seems like this the surface he will stay on.
7 got second. I didn't think that he didn't look like he got second, did it?
12th man, yeah, mid laner third, part of the entry fourth, 8-7 through 1A.
And I think that the trainer, Jorge Abreu, deserves a lot of credit in convincing this owner that this was a dirt horse. I mean, as I said to you, he and I had this conversation when he took over the training. He agreed, this is a horse that should be running on the dirt, not the turf. Left here this winter. And, I mean, I think there's a possibility this horse could take a step forward and be very, very competitive in some tough races with New York bred stakes, races like a Holly Hughes coming up in February. I really like this horse. I think he's a very nice horse.
King Angelo, one of the more impressive performers we've seen today. Closing out the card here in New York, we still have a lot coming up out at Oaklawn and Hot Springs, Arkansas, so stay tuned for that. Excuse me, prices from Aqueduct when we return. Stay with us.
Whatever you use to predict future stallion success, breathe slowly and gaze at the desert's first great championship race. Curlin won it. So did Street Cry, Arrogate, and now, in a time even faster than Arrogate's, Mystic Guide. The cold hard fact is, after this, he was rated the best horse in the world. Mystic Guide. New to Darley.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
Union Rags, proving Lane's End's tried and true stallion making formula. A formula that leads to success for our partners and our stallions. He's a leader in his sire crop by graded stakes winners and Grade 1 winners. He's a commercial standout with multiple $1 million sales and a 6-figure yearling average. And with 4 full books bred at 50 and 60,000, he has even more exciting progeny in the pipeline. Union Rags, a stallion that stands above the rest.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
You're watching America's Day at the Races on FS2, regional networks out in SoCal. Thanks for being with us on this Friday afternoon. Program brought to you in part by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Card in the books here in South Ozone Park. It's King Angelo, and not just a win. This was a statement victory.
Yeah, and I think if you were going to look for a theme on today's show, it's surface, right? And the importance of surface. You think about today's 6th race, a horse like Shinful, right? Who clearly has proven that she's a more competent horse on the dirt. And this is another one. It's not that he's a bad dirt turf horse. He's run some okay races on the turf, but he's also been one-dimensional. He's needed the lead, and he's a better dirt horse. And unfortunately, they spent an awful lot of time running him on the wrong surface. But now he's on the right surface. Jorge Abreu has him going the right way. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in the Holly Hughes. I mean, is he supposed to be that afraid of the group that we saw the other day? They're running buyers of around high 80s. Feels like he ran that at least today.
$5.10 for the win. The pick 5 comes back at $859. Pick 6 hit $4,934 on a small carryover Friday afternoon. Take a look at how you put together that 800 plus pick 5 if you had it. Shinful, if you singled there, you had to eke that one out, but he came through, or she did.
About a $500 parlay for 50 cents, paid $860 roughly. Not a bad play. Not a bad play at all. I wouldn't have hit this, but all these, I mean, I wouldn't have had audit committee. That's the worst that would have caught me in there. I'd have missed audit committee.
All right, we're going to head back to Oaklawn. about to come out for a post parade here in this 7th race. I thought there were a lot of ways to go in this race, too. There's some interesting runners in this race. 6 furlongs. It is a maiden special weight. That's a first-time starter of the 6 for Steve Asmussen by a dam who, 3-1 right now, produced an 11-time winner. Actually produced 3 first-out winners.
You know what? I completely forgot to look this dam up. As you know, I usually do look them up. Thank you. I did not look it up.
Yeah, Flat Lucky won the debut. Blue Collar won the debut. It was on grass. It was a 4-time winner. And then Snap Count won the debut as well. So, yeah, taking money, public all over it. Meanwhile.
Is the 7 too big a price?
Yeah, you can make a case for the 7. That is a big number.
Right.
Especially with the meat Moquet's have it at this point. We're going to look at Life on the Nile for Jerry Hollendorfer. For this horse, last time when he was on the racetrack, he was beat less than 2 lengths runner-up to a horse who became a Grade 3 winner for Brad Cox.
Well, he is the horse to beat based on the races he's run. And the interesting thing is, even though he's run these big figures, he's only been favored once. It does seem, though, he ran his better races going longer.
Yeah.
And you wonder if he's been gelded. He's coming off a, 9-month layoff at this point. Is him running short? Now, listen, you know I love these turnbacks, but he is a pioneer of the Nile. You wonder a little bit if this is kind of a prep for him to stretch him out the second time. Maybe he feels he needs a race off the layoff.
And he's a little dead on the board.
I was going to say, he's a little chilly there at 4-1. I mean, the one horse, and I'm not saying that Town Branch can't win this race. Right, he's 5-1. Excuse me, I was looking at the 6. You're right. Thank you. He did run a big time form U.S. figure last time out. And he's run some good numbers, and he has speed. But I don't know, man. I mean, he's had a lot of chances, hasn't he? Could he just be the inside speed? Could he, if you're suspect on the 5 right off the layoff, maybe they just think he's gone here on the front end. You know, you look at the 3, Plausible. See, Plausible Denial's a funny horse. This horse worked extremely well. I think he worked 9 4/5 the 2-year-old sale. And he showed up much later in his career, and he had some trips. He had a crazy wide trip first time out. They tried him longer, but he's run some fast figures too, but he's another horse that's kind of running out of chances, isn't he?
You're coming out of that Caw Cab race, who Caw Cab, well, he didn't show up really last start for Brad Cox.
Terrible.
Off a big maiden win.
Yeah, right. He was awful in his next start, yeah.
He was, 5th, I believe.
I like the turn back for him, but the reality is he's been 9-5, 5-2, 9-5, 8-5, 8-5, 2-1, 4-1, 2-1. This is just bad.
Hottest trainer at the meet right now, arguably the man who trains this horse, Chris Hartman, Town Branch. And this horse narrow defeats runner-ups the last 2.
I think the most appealing thing beyond everything else is that he looks like he could be the controlling speed from the rail.
Next door, one of a pair of runners for Ron Moquet. This is Magnificus, who's been off since July.
Another horse that ran his better figures going longer that could be prepping to stretch out. But he's also got some pretty fast figures, but he's got no speed.
Yeah, new gelding for Moquet, 13-1. Plausible Denial, this is a horse who ran against Caw Cab last time out for Jimmy DeVito.
Yeah, I think he's a little interesting, but I give up. I mean, at 0 for 8, he's not a terrible price, but he just doesn't win.
Ready Shoes, 26-1. This is start number 2.
Yeah, he's going to have to be a different horse. And Archibred, I know nobody loves the Archibreds like my man Greg Wolf.
Give me some Garhole, please.
I can't believe
So
he
bummed.
ran while you were gone.
I missed his return.
I felt bad for you.
Life on the Nile. Jerry Hollendorfer's been off since April.
Coming down a little bit, you kind of wonder, but he's an awfully big price if you like him.
First-time starter for Steve Asmussen. He's got Ricardo Santana Jr. here on Shuffle Dance. We skipped the 6, sorry.
Okay, should we wait and get back to him?
Sure.
Okay.
Here's the 7, Kingmaker.
Another horse coming off a bit of a layoff, and he probably wants to go longer, but he's got some fast figures. He ran 6 rows in his debut. He's a big price, this guy. I'm going to bet him. He's too big a price.
Cronus, if we continue in order. We do. 22-1 right now. I thought
he's another horse who's got figures that are fast enough to compete. I mean, I'm not in love with his chances, but these horses are crazy prices.
Here's Royal King. He's only started once. This trainer is 26% second time out.
And this horse ran in a killer field first time out. I know that Favorite Outlaw didn't go out and do as much. I think he ran a 95 buyer that day. That was a very fast race. We'll see what he does. What I want to say about Shuffle Dance is relating to the one branch. If Shuffle Dance is live, he probably has speed. And that could potentially compromise the one's chances, right? Is a potential lone speed.
There
That's
he
the
is.
only
He
thing I was
did
thinking.
have a bullet gate drill going 5 furlongs. And again, the dam produced 3 first-out winners. We'll see if this is a 4th. Let's go to Paula Duca for more.
Thanks, fellas. Yeah, this is another confusing race. This has been a tough race card here at Oaklawn. They've been throwing them out there. It seems like the pick 4s and pick 5s have been paying well all meet in another race that you really got to figure out where you want to go in here. I do think the 3 Plausible Denial is a horse that, on the cutback that is very, very dangerous. My worry is with Jimmy DeVito, his horses usually show a lot of speed. Now, this horse has shown some speed. He's tinkered with blinkers. I'm not a really big fan of tinkering with equipment and trying to figure out something to get this horse across the line first. And that worries me a tiny bit with the 3, maybe from coming from off the pace. You know, the one taking all the money, Town Branch, maybe it's because Hartman's so hot and Francisco Arrieta. I do believe this horse might get to the front end, but, you know, 2 starts back came from way off of it. Then broke very sharply last time and just stalked and let the other horse sort of just sin, you know, kind of just get away and just couldn't go by. So I don't get the 1 at 9-5, I guess. Can Town Branch win this race? And it is a tremendous Bourbon, but I just don't think at 9-5. When you get to the 5, Life on the Nile. Now, first time gelding, I actually spoke to the owner coming back from getting actually some coffee, and he said, listen, ever since he's been gelded, and I said, why did you geld him? He said he was really getting big, and if you look at him, he is a big son, a pioneer of the Nile. And a lot of people forget his dam, Life is Sweet. Life is Sweet is the horse that won the Ladies Classic over the Pro Ride at Santa Anita before Zenyatta won the Breeders' Cup Classic. That was a double for John Sheriff on that day, Wolfie.
Yeah, how about that? But this 4-year-old has had now opportunities to live up to that pedigree, and right now 0 for 6.
Yeah, I just wonder if you're seeing the horse a little chilly on the board, and the better races are going long. Life is Sweet was a horse that was better going long. I just kind of wonder if this is a race to get ready for a stretch out the next time out. But listen, if you like this horse, I would never talk somebody off it, especially at 9-2. I'm just wondering about that. I don't have an argument with the 1 and 3. I just think the 7 is the best value up there at 10.
All right, let's get Jonathan's thoughts here on the 5.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in the 5 and the 3. The 5, Life on the Nile. This horse had a bunch of nice races. Just couldn't really see those races out longer distances. You know, early in the 3-year-old years, the type of horse, you know, you want to try to win around 2 turns as fast as possible, January, February, March, and just see if maybe you can get into some of those lucrative 2-turn, long-distance 3-year-old dirt races, and it just never really happened for Life on the Nile. Gave the horse a break, shows up back here now sprinting, and if you look at the past performance, you look at the pace figures, just feels like this horse is going to run better going shorter. I like the price there. And then the 3, Plausible Denial. This is another horse that, you know, you look at the last race, comes in, tries the 2 turns, tactical, forwardly placed, and just feels like another one that wants to go a little bit shorter. If you look at those pace figures, just feels like this horse was slowing down later in the race. So 2 horses that are cutting back for me in here, and I think both of them present some pretty nice value on the board.
3-1 on the 3, 5-1 on the 5. That's the biggest surprise to me, that horse is not taking really any money in here.
I would have expected him to be shorter in here. I agree. I can understand some of the trepidation people are having, but I agree. I mean, with those kind of figures, you would have thought that he would have been a bit shorter in here.
And, you know, flip side, I mean, that is Town Branch obviously was a player, but 9-5, that is significant money on this horse in the rail.
I love Chris Hartman. His horses, and I get it. He wins. I mean, he's winning at a super high clip, and he frequently does win at short prices.
Second beat ahead, second beat a length. Last 2, that was at Churchill and at Oaklawn. Yeah, 9-5 in this spot. Will he control on the front end? Will that first time of the 6 for the Asmussen barn try and apply some pressure? Because, as you said, maybe the 9. But, I mean, outside of that, it doesn't look like there's any speed in here.
Unless the first-time starter, who's not really that live on the board, and nothing I love more than the circling at Oaklawn, unless that horse has speed, the 1 is supposed to be loose. And you have to imagine that Arrieta, who gives a nice ride in the last race, would be aggressive coming out of the gate, should they ever get in the gate.
8-5 now. on Town Branch.
Is it part of a function that they're not betting the 5? You know what I mean? They're not betting anyone else. I think the 7's an overlay, and I have no idea what the delay is there. But I think the 7 is an overlay. I really like the cutback for this horse, and he started out his career well, and maybe he just needed a little bit of a freshening. He ran well enough in those first 2 races that this is an awfully good price. Maybe he just can't run it all anymore, though.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
We got the feature coming up next. Going to be joined by Maggie Wolfendale. Andy's going to be stepping off here after a break, and we talked about Classy Bridget in that race. Can she take another move forward for Chris Hartman? Coming off that maiden win, she's faced Pretty Mischievous, who was 3rd in the Goldenrod. She won the Untappable. She's 3 for 4. Black Forest had been 2nd to Wonder Wheel in a maiden special weight, and then she breaks through and breaks her maiden. But Brad Cox with an interesting filly in there, You Glow Girl as well. And, of course, you got the more proven commodity, Condensation, who's 3 for 4 lifetime.
I did not look. But Maggie, who could pretty much come on now, actually.
No, we want all of you, Andy. We want every last second we can get.
Oaklawn is, they're only 12 minutes after their scheduled post time, so they're right on target.
8-5 favorite, Town Branch. Getting to the gate right now. So Francisco Arrieta will be on the favorite. And it's tough to tell, but when you see this kind of money on a horse like this, the barn obviously going tremendous right now. Pace Edge.
But this is I mean, this horse is 0 for 8. I understand he's only been favored once, and that was last time, but he was 2-1 last time and lost. And he is supposed to be the speed. But it's not like he what if the first has speed? I don't know. I mean, I understand why people like him, but 8-5 is an awfully tough price to take on him. And I think there's other options in here. I just think I'm just going to take a shot. The 7 can refine that form. It's a little bit of a shot, and I get why he's a price, but I just want it. It's not like anybody in here has run that quickly that you can't take a shot with somebody at a little bit better price.
Here we go. 7th from Oaklawn, 8-5 favorite. The rail runner for Chris Hartman, Town Branch. Let's go to Vic Stauffer.
Cronus. Ready Shoes. Last to load, Royal King. They're at the post. Town Branch, Fractious in the gate. Arrieta back aboard. They're set. They're off. Town Branch wanted to get out of that gate, and boy did he. He catches a flyer and goes right to the front from Royal King, Ready Shoes, and Life on the Nile. Plausible Denial away in 5th, on the move into 3rd. Then comes Kingmaker and Cronus, followed by, at the back of the pack, both Shuffle Dance and Magnificence. Shuffle Dance, something's not going right with him. It looks like he is going to be eased up going into the far turn. So Town Branch is the leader, and he's kept off the rail. There's an opening if Plausible Denial wants to go through under Tyler Bays, and he's going to make that move. So Town Branch leads 3/4 of a length. Plausible Denial and Life on the Nile are 2nd and 3rd. A length 2, Ready Shoes, joined by Royal King. 2.5 back to Kingmaker and Cronus. Then comes Magnificus, top of the stretch. Town Branch is being confidently handled. He leads Life on the Nile and Royal King. Town Branch up the top of the turn, and he leads a length. Royal King is 2nd. Plausible Denial did not go on. Center of the racetrack, Kingmaker is moving, and here comes Kingmaker with good-looking strides. Plausible Denial is trying to re-rally through from the inside. Meanwhile, Town Branch has the lead. Plausible Denial is catching now from the inside. Town Branch, Plausible Denial, Town Branch in front. Town Branch beat Plausible Denial. Kingmaker was 3rd, and Royal King finished 4th.
Town Branch broke sharp, and you saw Francisco Arrieta coming on the turn take a look back. Quite often, sign of confidence from a rider. He's got plenty underneath him.
It was interesting he wanted to stay off the rail because he had won coming up the rail in the prior race with the 1 horse. But he intentionally, clearly wanted this horse off the rail. And maybe Chris Hartman said this horse wants to be out in the middle. They got the 3 down inside. This was 2nd best. And I'm annoyed. I used the 7 in exactas with the 1 and 3. Greg, I should have bet tries, clearly. Yeah,
1, 3, 7, and 9. Looked like the 9 had some issues there with the reins. And the second time out.
And the Asmussen Firster, he was being eased, Vic noted. And Life of the Nile, interesting enough, showed speed. maybe a very good prep for that horse to stretch out second time. We'll be all over him at 6-5, you and I. Can't wait, can you?
That is it for Andy. Maggie Wolfendale going to be stepping in to join me right after a timeout. We'll be back. We have Tampa Bay race 9 on the turf coming up when we return. Feature from Oaklawn, their nightcap still on the way as well. So a lot more coming up on America's Day at the Races. Stay with us. We'll be back. And we'll also look ahead to Saturday action from Oldsmar, Florida on Saturday that we'll have for you tomorrow in the program. Stay with us. Back with you on America's Day at the Races on FS2, regional networks out in SoCal. Program brought to you by Nira Bets, where you can play it all. Go to NiraBets.com, bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Thanks for being with us on this Friday afternoon. Swapped out Andy Serling. We got Maggie Wolfendale here for the last hour of the program. Good to see you.
My pleasure. I'm excited to be up here. Got a little Tampa action, too, coming up.
Yeah, we're going to preview a big weekend coming out to Tampa. We're going to have their 9th for you as well, which is on the lawn. But let's look ahead to the weekend out there. Quite a few stakes races. We'll have live coverage with Acacia Clement as well. The Gasparilla, race 9 on that Saturday card, which will bring you 7/8 of a mile. And Darth Vader, not Darth, trying to win 3 in a row for trainer Michael Yates.
Yeah, and I thought definitely ran the best race of anybody last time out when several of these met in the Sandpiper Stakes, and this Gasparilla kind of serving as that local prep for the Suncoast, in which we saw Nest win last year.
Yeah.
But here she is. She's going to make that wide sweeping move to the front, still showing a little bit of greenness, but in the end, Greg, she's going to win here under wraps. Beneath her jock, and we will see Awesome Pick, who rallied well, and I think the extra half of her furlong to the 7/8 should help Awesome Pick in here, but still I think Darth Vader is a deserving 3-2 favorite.
Yeah, the run was impressive. She got up there so quick. It's almost like, whoa, she almost put the brakes on and got next to that horse.
Right.
But then she found that gear again.
Yeah.
So she'll try and make it 3 straight. She did win at 7/8 race prior as well. Meanwhile, Dreaming of Snow, she went gate to wire last time out, just dominated a group. in an allowance optional claiming field.
Yeah, but she's back in with the big girls, so to speak, here once again. And she was in that last race, in that Sandpiper with Darth Vader, an awesome pick, and she had absolutely no response to either of their questions. She was much the best here, don't get me wrong. I like the way she kicked away from this field, but as I mentioned, the waters just get so much deeper for her in taking that next step back up to these stakes fillies yet again in this Gasparilla.
We'll have it for you tomorrow. Again, 3 stakes as we showed you on that graphic on tomorrow's card from Oldsmar, Florida. And we still have that 9th coming up from Tampa today on the lawn. Oaklawn. There's your winner. Town Branch, everybody seemed to know except us. Went off a heavy favorite. Chris Hartman continuing this incredible meet.
He was strong back at Churchill as well with those horses there at Oaklawn Park. I think the last time we were on together, what was Sunday? You said, wow, I guess he's better than 40% now. Yep, he is. Yeah. He's hitting right there between 42 and 43%. So he'll send out the likely favorite, too, in the next race as he looks to go back-to-back.
Yeah, that's Classy Bridget. We'll get to that feature coming up. Riders Up out at Tampa for the 9th race. Smile on the Turf. $16,000 claiming race. Fillies and Mares have not won 3 lifetime. We'll have it for you when we come back. Stay tuned.
Here comes Malathaat. Here comes Clariere on the outside. They're coming to the finish, and it's got to be Clariere. Nest, much the best. She won by better than 10 lengths. Cody's Wish on the outside. Cody's Wish with the upset in the Fargo. Malathaat grabs the lead in deep stretch, and Malathaat has won the Personal Ensign Stakes.
Curlin, the classic sire.
Introducing a stallion, as top class as they come. In 22 career starts, he won or placed in 12 graded stakes, competing in 15 grade ones, earning over $1.7 million. His undisputed speed is evidenced by 7 100-plus Beyer speed figures, a 3-time grade 1 winner, Raging Bull.
Now more than ever, it's time to get with the program. When shopping for your next race prospect, consider that New York breds start with an advantage. Our New York breds run for serious green. At Saratoga Race Meet, New York bred maidens run for up to $88,000. New York bred allowance horses run for up to $100,000. And New York bred owners can collect awards of up to $20,000 per horse per race. So get back with the program. Seriously.
We're back on America's Day at the Races. Stay out of that guy's way. Program brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Apologies, race 9 at Tampa actually was taken off the turf. It's on the main track now, mile and 40 yards. Quite a few scratches in this race, and with all the scratches, Pacific Princess, the 8, is the current 9-5 favorite.
She does have the backlash. At first, when I looked at her, I was like, well, she did win on the turf last time, but you go back to actually 2 summers ago in 2021, and those 2 races on the main track scheduled, albeit a 1-turn mile. Maybe the distance is a question for her, but still, she can just win on merit alone.
2 went by in the post parade, and here's a ring thing at 7:01.
Yeah, a ring thing. She is one that has a little bit more turf form, but did run okay, though well beaten second last time out by 14.5 lengths.
Boca at 9-1.
Boca has yet to win on the main track, and she is coming in off of a layoff.
Miss Boombastic won a race taken off the turf at Tampa last start at a mile and 40 yards.
Yeah, I mean, she's kind of the here and now horse. You're getting a decent price on her at 7-1.
Pacific Princess here is the 8-5 favorite.
I feel like they got this one right. Like I said, she's just run faster than many of these on many occasions. Her one Achilles heel might be the distance, as it is this 2-turn mile and 40.
Rose's caught. She was just distant second on a race taken off the turf at this distance.
Again, she feels like one that many of her faster races have come on the turf.
Also eligible draws in here. Montana Joyce was a winner. It was 8,000 non-winners at 2 for a mile and 40 on the dirt.
She does feel slow, but her last 2 races for her current connections have been her best to date.
And Loves Misery at 9-2 on the outside.
She feels like the one that could upset the favorite in here, Greg. She has the form. I've always thought she's won that race in New York, so I have some notes on her. And I've always thought that going along on the dirt was not out of her wheelhouse.
Post time coming up for this 9th move to the main track in a mile and 40 yards now. After it's been taken off the turf, you can play all the action. All the stakes coming up tomorrow at Tampa. Got Busanda on the road to the Kentucky Oaks from Aqueduct with NYRA Match 200, that code to use for new members that sign up. Go to NYRABets.com and bet any track, anywhere, anytime. So getting set for this 9th ahead. Still have the feature coming up at Oaklawn as well, with Classy Bridget, You Glow Girl. We got our colleague Tom Amos with a filly in there as well.
Yeah, it's a good-looking field. Chris Hartman is likely to send out 2 of the short-price horses in there in Classy Bridget, Greg, as well as Condensation, who was second in a stakes race last time out at the fairgrounds. But, yeah, Tom, our good friend Tom Amos sending out Holiday Decision, taking the blinkers off, getting Lasix for this return to the races. Will need to take a step up, though, based upon her 2-year-old form.
And a little kid, we'll get to it obviously, but that Prairie Meadows shipper, the 7.
So interested in her. I totally agree with you. Junior's Joni, that's a fast figure for late August as a 2-year-old, and not a bum race, so to speak. And she just was so impressive in winning that one.
So that's coming up next at Oaklawn. We'll get to that. The 8th on the card, their feature on this Friday afternoon. First things first, race 9 here at Tampa. And all the money sticking with the 8 here, Pacific Princess, who does have some questions to answer in terms of at least the last time she went longer, even though it was a much tougher field.
Right. I mean, you go 3 back. She did have the layoff, so you wonder if something happened in that race that prompted the layoff and the poor performance. She was nearly 20-1 that day at Gulfstream Park in July. Again, like I said, she's one that has yet to go around the 2 turns, at least on the dirt. She does have the 2-turn races on the synthetic and the turf. So her 1-turn races at a mile at Gulfstream Park, they make her a winner here. There's no doubt about it. She's just run faster. And she projects to be forward in here. We'll see if she can just take them all the way.
And for me,
turns out that other tracks other than Oaklawn do the circle quite proficient.
Yeah, they're a little bit behind, obviously, as Andy was quick to note at Oaklawn. And I believe that is the case here. This was set to go off, about 12 minutes ago.
I mean, I'm just looking forward to, we get to see Acacia tomorrow. And I know it's probably not quite as warm as it would be in South Florida on the East Coast, but she's going to have to ship over to the West Coast. It's going to be a little chilly there. Hopefully she has a light jacket. But looking forward to those races tomorrow. And then, too, getting ready, they're kind of like a prelude to what we have in store with the Sam F. Davis as too. It sounds like W. Nell, who won our Remsen, is going to likely be pointed there.
Yeah, it's kind of a fun series. Mm-hmm. We had Chipsational.
Yeah,
the
New York
run
bred
very good there
carrying
last
the
year.
Flag. And too, a lot of people note that while it's kind of an odd spacing, the Tampa Bay Derby prep races, because you end up being 6 weeks out with the Tampa Bay Derby. But the Sam F. Davis at least gives you an option over what is frequently regarded as a very safe dirt surface to run here or to run somewhere else, you know, with that classic kind of 4 or 5 weeks in between that last start in the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, it's such an interesting thing because it's so much time. It's not that much time, but it's a world of time
So
for
much
these
can change.
3-year-olds of what's going to happen, and who's going to become contenders? Who's going to? When are we going to see Forte make his 3-year-old debut? Can Cave Rock make an impact still for Baffert? And is he going to move to a different barn? What's going to happen with all those horses this year?
Yeah. What about the one that he debuted on Breeders' Cup weekend, the $2 million horse?
Yeah.
What was his name? Arabian? Oh my gosh, I'm completely.
Arabian Prince, perhaps? Was
yeah.
that it?
Is that it?
That horse
We
was
haven't seen him
impressive.
since, right?
A lot is going to happen. It's going to be fast and furious. I mean, really, your serious preps don't really happen at least till March. So
Right,
it's
right.
a fast and furious sprint to the finish to get in that starting gate for that first Saturday in May.
And, you know, a lot of people say we likely haven't even seen the Derby winner yet. As they are loading in line.
7-5 favorite, Pacific Princess. Jason Beam, the call, moved to dirt here, mile and 40 yards, 9th from Tampa.
Loves Misery and Pablo Morales to complete the line. Just about set. Loves Misery coming up. And in. They're in the gate. And the race is on. Pacific Princess, the favorite, sent out for early speed. Boca was away quickly. Loves Misery up from the outside, coming to join that front vanguard as well. As the ring thing is down toward the inside. Those 4 are fastest as they run to that first turn. Miss Boombastic was out in 5th. Rose's Cause, the gray, right to her outside in 6th. Going to be a 3-deep trip here for Montana Joyce in 7th. And it's 5 or 6 more, then back to Beyond a Surprise. And Angel Suarez, who are at the back, about 11 or 12 off the lead as a ring thing takes advantage of that inside draw and leads at a length and a half. Pacific Princess in the 2nd position. The opening quarter mile clicked off in 24 seconds flat. A ring thing by the 5.5 furlong marker. Pacific Princess, Loves Misery up from the outside is 3rd. Then comes a lineup of 3. Boca, A Rose's Cause, into the far outside Montana Joyce. The top 6 only covered 3.5. It's another 4 then. Back to Miss Boombastic and still 3 after that to Beyond a Surprise, who trails. They have a half mile left to go in their journey, and up on the front end, A Ring Thing and Pacific Princess, 48 and 4 for a pretty contested opening half mile here. Loves Misery just in behind them in 3rd. Boca down toward the inside, Rose's Cause. Starting to move up on the far outside is Montana Joyce. Montana Joyce, a joint 4th right now, just 2.5 off the leader up front. Pacific Princess, but a fresh challenge and Loves Misery on the outside. A Ring Thing starts to back up. Montana Joyce joining that one from the outside as they wind around to the quarter pole. Pacific Princess trying to keep Loves Misery at bay. These 2 to the top of the stretch. Pacific Princess now back a length in front. Loves Misery couldn't quite keep up with the favorite as they come to the furlong pole. Montana Joyce going to look for a split. Boca's down toward the inside. Miss Boombastic late on the scene. Still 5 or 6 lengths behind, though. A final 16 to go. Pacific Princess shaken up by Jose Bautista and quickly 4.5 in front. Pacific Princess going to go on and win it here at even money. Won it by 7 or 8 in the end. Second ended up pretty close. I think Montana Joyce held off Miss Boombastic, but it was a close photo there for 2nd and 3rd.
Public got it right here. Pacific Princess much the best here in the ninth.
She was much the best. She goes back-to-back victories, turf and now the dirt. As you gotta wonder, I mean, graduating out of a non-3 life, your conditions kind of run out. But you wonder if somebody picked her up, though, for the 16 because she's shown the ability to be competitive in tougher spots. And though she is a 5-year-old, so she's probably shown what she is, but still a very convincing win for Roger Lauren and Jose Bautista.
3rd win of her career, 12th outing, and does it pretty easily as we go back to Oakland. Their feature race on the Friday card coming up, and that's a look at You Glow Girl, the 3 for Brad Cox, who comes in off a win. Horseshoe Indy last time out, 2nd win of her career. Wow, she's 6-1 right now. The favorite, again, Chris Hartman. Classy Bridget. She just broke her maiden last time out. In her debut, she faced, we talked about it earlier, Pretty Mischievous, who's a stakes winner and was just 3rd in a grade 2.
And she had to knife her way through traffic here. I thought showed a lot of professionalism.
albeit over a sloppy, muddy racetrack. And it didn't really look like anybody else was going to change positions here. And here she is. She's going to duck back down to the inside of that front-running horse there, and she's going to get up. And you can see her, Greg. She's reaching for the line. She's hitting her best strides late there as she takes that step back out from the 5.5 to the 6. I thought this was a very good performance, and she's just gradually gotten better with each subsequent start. So you like that progression when horses are going in to face winners for the first time.
Yeah, and faced a couple pretty good ones, too. We mentioned the filly facing the debut Black Forest, who beat her start number 2, had been second to Wonder Wheel in her debut in a maiden special weight. So 9-5, a lot of money on that runner from the inside, but her stablemate, more accomplished. That's the 8 Condensation. She's a 3-time winner, and she was just second in a stakes race at Fairgrounds last start.
She's the one in these types of spots. You're almost somewhat drawn to horses who have won more. They've faced winners. They've shown you that they can be competitive in these spots. Now, she might have had modest beginnings somewhat. You know, she won that maiden special, albeit at Belterra. Then the right spot for her is a 50, claiming 50 at Churchill. And then she rattles off another win, and then she doesn't disrespect herself in a stakes race. She's definitely the other horse in here. She's your current third choice, though.
Post parade coming up here in a moment. Let's quickly wrap up that Tampa race. Pacific Princess, dominant winner. Again, 3rd win of her career. And that's back-to-back that she's crossed the wire. First, she got DQ'd, though, on the turf last time out. But she is in sharp form. The point, $4.20, winds up even money.
Yeah, and nice exacta there with Miss Montana Joyce, who drew into this field. Miss Boombastic will round things out and complete that trifecta.
All right, back to Oaklawn and their feature race. We're going to see Classy Bridget here to kick things off in just a second. And lightly raced, there's still, you know, with all these fillies, obviously, at this point in their careers, there's a lot of upside. But it looks like, as you said, I mean, start by start, it's been minor improvement, but it's been improvement.
Right. I kind of like that gradual, because when they kind of improve in a, as you said, kind of a mediocre and a incremental type of improvement, it just shows that they're getting better. There wasn't necessarily a condition or a certain scenario that improved their performance so much. I just think that she's just slowly getting better with each start.
Do you think, looking at her running lines, I know she got off to a slow start last time, is she going to still have to come from fairly far out of it to win?
I mean, look, she was going 5.5 last time out. You don't know with the sloppy track, or muddy track, I should say, did that affect her? Did that affect the pace? But it really wasn't that fast of a pace, I thought, for 5.5 furlongs. So she's going to have to come from out of it again, I think.
Here's you, Glow Girl. Brad Cox, she comes off a win last start.
Yeah, she does have some speed to keep her in contention, though the horse that she beat last time came back to win, but only with a 56 buyer.
This one, big long shot with some speed as well. The blinkers come off.
It coming off here for Aaron Shorter does switch. Barnes gets Lasix for the first time, is going to have to improve, though they can as a newly trained 3-year-old.
Arkansas bred, who won her debut. She's storming.
Yeah, unfortunately, I guess not an Arkansas allowance race for her to try.
Yeah, slow figure 2 in the win. Holiday Decision, Tom Amos runner. Blinkers come off, been in some tough spots.
Taking a lot of money, and I guess people think that she is going to take that step forward off of that 2-year-old form. She's going to have to, though, Greg.
5-2 right now. The 7, this is the Prairie Meadows winner that was impressive last start. That was in August.
Sign me up for the 19-1. I mean, does that mean she is just not live at all? Like I said, I like what I saw, and it's not like she just beat nobodies there at Prairie Meadows.
Stablemate to the favorite. Here's Condensation, the 3-time winner, the 8.
Consistent as they come, you got to respect her.
And Ricardo Santana Jr. or Charlie May outside. Last time sprinting was a winner.
Right. They tried to stretch her out. She's only had that one race sprinting on the dirt, and she was a blowout win, though still will need to run faster. But you kind of like the fact that she's only gotten this condition once, and it was a huge performance.
Feature coming up. Let's go to Paula Duca. Paulie, Chris Hartman with 2 big chances to take this.
Yeah, he's trying to make it the Chris Hartman show today, Greg. He really is. I mean, Town Branch just broke out of the gate and was gone. His runners have been running unbelievable, and I've been reiterating this to a lot of people. The 3 trainers that are at this racetrack every single day are Robertina Diodoro, Chris Hartman, and Ron Moquette. no secret that they're the top 3 trainers. So, I mean, the guys that are here that are saddling their horses are winning races. And the 2 Hartman horses in here are very live. He probably has a horse that can go towards the front end in the 8 in Condensation, a horse that was very good last time out, broke from the 1 hole, and, you know, Luis Machado took the horse kind of out of a position out of that spot, and then he kind of re-rallied on the outside. You look at the back races when this horse was under Juan Cano's care, she showed a lot of speed, 21-2, 44-4. So I think Nikki breaks, whereas the rider breaks from the outside and tries to hustle to get to the front end. Now, the 2 in here is a flat-out runner. She can run. The issue is she's got bad gait issues. She's gotten dead left in her last 2 starts. I thought it was amazing that she ran second. And then last time out, I figured to myself, you know what? Sometimes these horses are phony horses that break last, and they come flying into fields that just break down. And she didn't. She got Lasix, and she came rolling. The issue is here, I think this is a field that you can't really get left in here. There's just too much quality. The 3 You Glow Girl, Brad Cox, you know, he's been a tough read this meet. You know, when he ran first and second, obviously, in the Smarty Jones. But a lot of his other horses that have won have kind of been drop downs, been a little bit cold on the board. And this is another one that's a tiny bit cold on the board, but can bring some speed to the party. But if you look at her 4 starts, she's been favored in all 4 starts. And the last one I'll mention is our colleague, the 6, Tom Amos's horse, Lasix. Blinkers come off. Just a whole new set kit here for this filly by Good Samaritan that did show speed in the beginning of her career, and she was well bet in her first 2 starts. So a 3-year-old filly that could maybe at least progress here. And you get Rafael Bejarano, who is 2 for 6 so far this year with Tom. Doesn't ride him a lot. I do think the 2 is going to be tough to beat, but that rail draw doesn't help a horse that doesn't break from the gate as well. They're going to have to hold her off, but if she makes another mistake at the break, it's going to be tougher.
No question. We'll keep an eye on it, Paulie. Thanks. Still 9-5, Classy Bridget. And that, to me, is the biggest surprise on the board, the Tom Amos runner of the 6, taking all this money.
Greg, I can't see it. I don't see it. But usually the public's right when they bet horses like this. But, you know, she'll beat me here. I think it's an outrageous price on Junior's Joni, as we were mentioning. And I really like the appearance of You Glow Girl on the track. Now, she, as Paul mentioned, has been favored in all 4 of her starts, and you're not getting that now. And sometimes that's when they'll jump up and bite you.
There she is. She's 5-1. Coming off that win at Horseshoe Indy. She won her 2nd start. She was dominant at Saratoga. We got a chance to see her this summer. She's favored in that spot. Yeah, first she was odds on last out. She has taken a ton of money.
She's by Gervin, who has just gotten off to an auspicious start as a sire. Now, like I said, I don't like the field that she comes out of necessarily at Indiana, but I kind of like when trainers do this. A horse that had some success as a 2-year-old, and then you give him a little time, bring him back, get him ready as 3-year-old. Now, she was always a big, powerful 2-year-old filly, so, you know, just kind of backing off a little bit and bringing her back, and she looks as though she's come back very fit, very ready to go. So I think she's a bit interesting. Just 2 for the fact that, same thing with Condensation, they're multiple winners.
Yeah, and Condensation, even though she finally lost, she'd won 3 in a row to start her career, got beat last time out, but she got beat by Phillies undefeated for Brad Cox, who's 2 for 2 now, that looks pretty talented, a $500,000 Into Mischief. So, good filly that finished ahead of her. She beat the rest of that bunch.
Right. I mean, just narrowly, to be fair, but still, Dazzling Blue does appear to be a very, very nice runner, as you were mentioning, for Brad Cox. I think we were sitting up here, or I remember being up here for her debut at Churchill, and it was just like, she was in a league of her own. She just blew a field away under wraps with Florent Giroux aboard. So, for me, I respect Classy Bridget, but I think there's reason to be apprehensive for what Paul said, in the fact that sometimes she does leave herself a bit too much to do. And when you start to face better horses, and she has faced good horses, they're not going to come back to you as readily. And
too, the fact that he said, she's inside, a wave could just come over on her.
Yeah, so I think You Glow Girl and Condensation are viable alternatives with the long shot juniors, Joni.
There's You Glow Girl stepping in under Joe Talamo, the 3 for Brad Cox. Favorite throughout has been Classy Bridget, but back to more modest favoritism here at 2-1. Keep your eyes on how she gets out of the gate from that inside post, the 2 filly. We're set for the feature. Let's go to Vic Stauffer.
Two more. She's Storming and Charlie May. They're at the post. They're off. Crack-a-lacking goes for the front from She's Storming and Classy Bridget at the rail. You Glow Girls in the mix. So is Holiday Decision. So is Charlie May. And Condensation is second to last, but she's only about 2.5 off the lead. The trailer is Junior's Joni. So it's crack-a-lacking up the backstretch with the whole field chasing her. You Glow Girl is in second. Classy Bridget going to need room down at the rail to the outside, and Holiday Decision and She's Storming. Condensation will be 5 wide leaving the backstretch. Outside of her goes Charlie May, and even Junior's Joni is splitting horses. The entire field separated by about 3 lengths with Crack-a-lacking and You Go Girl. Crack-a-lacking ahead in front of You Glow Girl in second. Junior's Joni has moved all the way up into third and a length from the front. Classy Bridget's at the rail. Condensation now 5 from the front. She'll have to go top of the stretch. You Glow Girl has a short lead from Junior's Joni to the outside. Classy Bridget rides the rail for Arietta, and here's Classy Bridget trying to give Arietta and Hartman 3 on the day, and Classy Bridget takes charge and runs away from You Glow Girl in second. Junior's Joni is third. Classy Bridget in front. Big win for Classy Bridget. She won by 6.5. You Glow Girl was second. Junior's Joni good third. Close for fourth. Crack-a-lacking and Condensation.
I might give that the performance of the day today out in Hot Springs. Classy Bridget, back-to-back wins, her first time in against winners, and she dominates.
And she broke, Greg. I mean, she broke well enough to put herself right behind the early pace. She stuck to her guns, or Francisco Arietta stuck to his guns, stayed down on the rail. She was contentious the whole way, and she put this field to bed. He finished up full of horse. I mean, she was still tanking as they crossed the line. He was trying to pull her up. She may have been taking incremental steps forward. She took a big leap today.
She really did. 4th start of her career, and she just dominates this group. Good for her. Chris Hartman, he's got a nice 3-year-old filly on his hands. Daughter of Army Mule. 3 today for Hartman and Francisco Arietta. 1:11-3, final time for the 6 furlongs.
Nice performance, and we did see You Glow Girl round at the exacta with her long shot Junior's Joni for the try.
All right, we'll have these prices coming up. JD Thoroughbreds own this 3-year-old filly. Coming out party here. Big effort from Classy Bridget for Chris Hartman. Picture time again for her. And the inside post, not an issue at all. Much the best prices, and we'll get to the nightcap when we come back. You're watching America's Day at the Races on FS2. Regional networks out at SoCal. What an effort from Classy Bridget in her first try against winners. We'll be back.
Eclipse champion Blame, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races. It's brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Feature Oaklawn in the books. What a performance from this filly right here, Classy Bridget, coming off a maiden win, and she left no doubt about who's best in this race.
She did. She drew away to win by about 7 or 8 in the end. Greg, 4 starts, 2 wins, 2 seconds for this daughter of Army Mule. It feels as though the $70,000 that they paid for her last year at the Fasig-Tipton Timonium sale is looking like a bargain.
Yeah, you could say that. $4 for the win. It's been a big Friday. It's been a big meet for the man standing by with Paula Duca, who we're going to go to in just a minute here. That would be Chris Hartman. Trains Classy Bridget. 3-win afternoon on Friday. Came into today winning at 42%.
Yeah, so what is he now, 50%? What was he coming in? So he's won 12 at the meet. He's won 2 today, right?
3, I believe.
Sorry, 3 today. So he's won 13 of, what, about 27, 28 starters?
Well, let's go to Polly for more. All right, some audio issues. Obviously, we'll try and get back to Polly with Chris Hartman in just a minute. I'm interested to hear what he has to say about this performance, but I would expect rave reviews.
You would have to think, you wonder if they keep her sprinting, being a daughter of Army Mule, but the fact that she ran competitive, 2-back going the 7 furlongs, and the fact that she drew away from this field going the 6, and you always start thinking about with these young horses, are they going to stretch out? Are they going to be contentious in those kind of more classic races? So I would. Yes, I would love to hear what the plan would be for her if they keep her sprinting, or if they do decide to try to stretch her out. Obviously, she is a filly that appreciates the Oaklawn strip, and I'm blanking on the first Kentucky Oaks prep that they have there.
I know the Fantasy's the big one,
right?
But yeah, I mean, you have a filly of this quality, and maybe she is only good sprinting.
Yeah,
but you got to take a shot and see. Maybe
sure.
they know already, but.
Yeah.
You want to see her do it in the afternoon.
She won today, though. It gives the impression that she should be able to stretch it out a bit.
We will see. It's hard to resist, especially when you win like that, right?
Right.
That kind of performance.
Right.
So, Classy Bridget, big performance. We have the nightcap still coming up. We'll see if we can get to Polly with Chris Hartman. In the meantime, let's set the stage for their finale. It's an Arkansas-bred maiden special weight, 6-furlong sprint. A lot of ways to go in here. I know Street Commander's taking a lot of money right now. For Al Cates, but you have a Brad Cox first-timer next door in the 4. I thought Mr. Commander was interesting.
Holy pedigree.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pedigree horse. Being by Commissioner, Half to Awesome Baby, who's a multiple graded stakes winner in California, going long. The Dam won her first 2. She was undefeated in her first 2 starts. That's an interesting pedigree horse.
Yeah. And surprisingly not taking any money. No one catching on there that there's a multiple graded stakes winner in the family. We'll see if that price comes down at all. We're going to have the post-parade coming up. We'll preview Saturday as well from Oaklawn. Ginobili in the 5th season, back to action, as is former winner of this race, Rated R Superstar, still going strong as a 10-year-old. Actually won last time out with a 94 buyer. We'll be back right after this.
War Dancer. The momentum continues with recent stakes winners on turf and dirt. Dancing Buck going wire to wire in the Grade 3 Belmont Turf.
Dancing Buck has opened up on the field. It is Dancing Buck by a half-dozen lengths.
And 2-year-old filly War Saichi with a wire-to-wire win in the Ladyfinger Stakes.
War Saichi asserted her authority immediately out of the starting gate, and she has not relinquished the lead.
War Dancer, the #1 third-crop turf sire in North America. Proud to stand in New York.
This season at Oaklawn, we've got more of everything. More of the top thoroughbreds in the world. More days of live racing. and the largest purses in our history. All at a completely reimagined Oaklawn. Come be a part of this historic season at Arkansas's only casino resort.
The Run Happies are running, the Run Happies are selling, the Run Happies are winning. Eclipse champion Run Happy is showing a new dimension with winners on turf, dirt, and all weather. A record-breaking sprint champion, Run Happy is also showing winners at all distances, from 7 furlongs to 1.25 miles. A sire whose runners can carry his speed over all distances and all surfaces. Run Happy, price for value, and standing strong at Claiborne Farm.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
On June 6, 2019, a new chapter began at Alapa when Hillendale transferred its operations to the famed Kentucky Station and Thoroughbred Nursery in Paris, Kentucky, on a farm that traces its origins to 1827.
All the essential things have been done.
3 years later, owner John Sikora couldn't be more proud.
We're trying to be progressive, thoughtful, and respectful to what's already been here, the intent of the farm. Along with, trying to become efficient and modern.
The 1,400-acre Alapa is driven by its owner John Sikora's passion to return the landmark farm to its original glory. The extensive restoration includes building a brand new breeding shed out of stone and concrete, matching the training barn that's been converted to be a stallion barn and now houses a roster of world-class stallions. Hillendale also built 8 new barns, plus adding landscaping and building tens of miles of fence, plus adding roads and utilities. Sikora appreciates the daily inspiration the farm gives him.
There's the ruins of an old dairy barn, which is it's like a beautiful relic. It's peaceful and quiet. There's waterfall ponds behind the house, behind the office. There's many unique, peaceful, great parts of the farm that create peace and a sense of understanding where you are and how unique the farm is.
He also enjoys visiting the stallion barn in the evening when it's quiet and peaceful.
The horses are looking outside their stall, looking outside the windows. There's like 4,600 windows in the stallion barn. They can look outside, and it's very, very, very natural, peaceful to them. And when I look at this barn too, I feel all the history and the great horses that were here. Great champions were all raised and broke and trained here.
Sikora is now focused on making new history at Alapa.
When you think of all that living history, it makes you respectful of the barn and who's been housed there, and then also a responsibility of trying to keep that same standard and try to move it forward and be historic in what we do, so that when someone would look back 50 years from now, they have a feeling of obligation for them to do the same here.
Grounds. Our program brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. As we get set to bring you the nightcap from Oaklawn, we're going to preview, as we promised, big Saturday out in Hot Springs that includes the 5th season. And we'll get to the old man in a minute, Radar Superstar, but Ginobili, a horse, obviously we've had some big moments in his career for Peter Miller now, 7-5 morning line favorite.
Rightfully so, coming off that big win behind Get Her Number, big second place finish, Big Buyer, I should say, but a horse that ran second going back to last year in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. This is his game, and now he's second off that layoff, so why not with Ginobili?
So here he is. This was back on November 20th, and that 100 buyer you were talking about, this is off a long layoff to do this. So if he can move forward off this performance, the rest of this field might be in trouble.
Absolutely. Excuse me. And I have a lot of respect for Get Her Number as well, as he decent horse to boot. So just kind of rallying down the outside, and he would come back and run second in the Cigar Mile. Right? Am I making that up? No, I'm not. Anyway, but 6 furlong, nice prep, back out to a mile where the bulk of his success has come.
Well, Rated R Superstar, so 10 years old now. He won this race last year as a 9-year-old at almost 26-1. And he proved he's still got a lot left in the tank with his performance at Remington last start when he won with a 94 buyer.
You gotta love horses like this. I mean, how can you not? A 10-year-old, he's been doing it for a long, long time. I mean, you look at his races, and yeah, he's been claimed, twice in his career, and then he's back in the stakes action again, and he comes up with these big efforts. I like this effort too that he comes in here off of. So he loves it there at Oaklawn as well. It'd be amazing to see the 10-year-old pick up another stakes win and go back-to-back in the 5th season.
1.7 million plus in earnings for that 10-year-old. Meanwhile, he's only a 5-year-old. Soy Tapatio seems like he's been around forever.
Does he?
To me, anyway. His name has constantly come up for me. He's coming off a stakes win at Zia last time out.
It's your Western connection,
Yeah.
Greg. I'm like, who are you even talking about?
5-time winner in his career.
Yeah, and right. And when you've won nearly a third of your career starts, you know how to get it done. But for me, this is a little bit of an acid test for the horses that he's facing. I don't even mind Runnin' Ray to his outside. I think Runnin' Ray is a respectable horse as well for Joe Sharp. So he's the one that might be a short price that draws some question marks for me. But again, going up for tough connections in Robertina Diodoro.
Yeah, 2-turn mile, race 9 on the card tomorrow. It's terrific Saturday card at Oaklawn. We tried to bring you Paul LaDuca with that Chris Hartman interview. Unfortunately, Paulie couldn't get that audio recap of what Chris told you. This is a really nice filly, Classy Bridget.
Yeah, she really is, Greg. When talking to Chris, you could tell he had a little bit of a glimmer in his eye, and he basically said she finally broke. And I asked him, I said, what was going on? He goes, I don't know. He goes, to be honest with you, in the morning she breaks unbelievable from the gate. I just think it's a little bit of greenness, a little bit that she was intimidated, but he was so excited that she was able to not have to circle horses. She got way more of an education on the rail today, and had to wait a tiny bit and then kick out and just demolish the field. A daughter of Army Mule, and he had been talking about that. These Army Mules are runners, and he really thinks that she can stretch out. And here's the kicker of all this: I didn't even realize it. There was a shoe repair on her in the paddock. There was a little bit of a debacle. They barely got the shoe on her before the race, and she ran like that. I'm with you. I think she's got a bright future.
After that performance, I think everybody interested to see what she can do next time out, especially if the plan is to try and stretch her out a little bit. We looked it up. I think the Martha Washington would be a little quick coming back, but then there's a Honeybee, then the Grade 3 Fantasy on that path to the Kentucky Oaks out at Oaklawn.
And if it doesn't work out, there is no shame in having a really good sprinter on your hands, too. They give championship awards for female sprinter, just so everybody remembers that. But really looking forward to what Classy Bridget does next.
Post parade for the nightcap coming up. We are going to be saying goodbye to Bally Sports SoCal and San Diego here at the bottom of the hour shortly. But FS2 going to stick with us. We'll bring you this nightcap, so that's about 7 minutes away, as we'll go through this field here coming up to close out this Friday afternoon in Hot Springs. It's still Street Commander to the 3, favored along with a first-time starter next door.
Yeah, Third Watch, who we just saw break post parade, acting up pretty badly there on the racetrack. Third Watch.
All right, so Street Commander, look, he has had 5 starts already. We'll get to him in a sec. Shake Up for Brett Calhoun kicks things off.
Yeah, Shake Up is going to have to get faster here. This is his second try against Arkansas Bred Company.
5-2 favorite. Here's Street Commander.
behaving himself nicely as opposed to the other favorite in here. A repeat of his last 2 efforts would make him a major player and a likely winner.
All right, again, Valley Sports SoCal, San Diego. We're signing off here in a few seconds, but coverage continuing on FS2. So you can switch it on over there, see the conclusion of this card from Oaklawn. So for those still with us, here's here's that Brad Cox first-timer who did break off at the post parade.
Looks like Joe expending some of that nervous energy, giving him a solo warm-up. Good to see.
Mr. Commander, that interesting pedigree, still a big price.
Yeah, big price, has a limited number of works to go by, but we'll be intrigued to see what he does first time out here.
Classy Socks dirt debut was actually pretty good.
I thought just needed the race last time, as you mentioned, Greg, against many of these other horses here, attended the pace. A little step forward with that fitness under his belt makes him a player.
Evie Sherman, I can't believe he's not broken through yet. He's 0 for 9 now. He's had a lot of chances.
And his run figures so much better than many of these blinkers do go back on here.
Skype, the 8 player at 6-1, and here's big long shot storm strategy.
Back to Skype. He set the pace last time, but he's really not that fast.
Campese just was 3rd in the mud against State Bred Company.
Yeah, it gets back to a fast track here. With a little routine improvement, this guy could be a player.
Chrome Candy, first-timer. The dam was actually the multiple stakes winner sprinting.
By Texas Chrome, one that stands is a Texas bred. So we'll see, not taking too much money on the board.
Rudiano is not shown a lot.
And is not taking much money on the board either. Just seems to be getting worse instead of better.
A little bit of ability last time out in the mud. That was a Remington for Hacker.
Yeah, showed some speed, which is always important to have, and gets back in with Arkansas Bred Company, 2nd off the layoff. And there could be some upside with this horse. Kylie Jordan's aboard.
So favorite, it's still Street Commander, and it was 2nd, beat a neck last time out. Skype was just behind him. Going to deal with that one again. They'll re-meet, and let's take a look at this race from back on December 16th.
Also keep an eye on Classy Socks here. He's the one kind of in 3rd right now, lingering on that inside lead. Was attending and up close to the pace, Greg. Reluctant to switch over. To me, that just spoke of being tired and being still a bit green and only the 3rd career start. Now, yes, there's the argument that those horses that finish in front of him finish better, maybe ran better, but I just felt like Classy Socks, there was some more upside with many of these other horses who have had several more chances than he. Street Commander, though, running well, just edged out by L.O. Henry.
Paulie, we say it all the time, let the board be your friend, especially with first-time starters, and this firster for Brad Cox taking a lot of money.
Yeah, he sure is, and it's been a tough read. Like I said, I'll meet with the Brad Cox runners. The one time Brad's been here, he ran 1st and 2nd in the Smarty Jones. He has not been here on the ground since then. So it's kind of a guessing game with Third Watch, 10 Strike Racing here, and Joe Talamo. They broke the horse away from the parade like you guys were mentioning. And Maggie, I think Maggie hit the nail on the head, just trying to exert that energy and just get the horse to kind of relax. The fact that, he's live on the board is a very good sign. And let's be honest, he doesn't really have an Arkansas-bred pedigree. I mean, no disrespect to the Arkansas-breds, but he's a Midnight Lute out of a Malibu Moon Mare, bred here in Arkansas, and he's bred very well to win early. So I can understand where they're going at 7-2, but the money coming on the 3 is strong here at 2-1 to be a horse that has run back-to-back seconds, is really knocking on the door and is getting bet over the Brad Cox runner, and it's Kelsey Haar and Al Cates, who, Al Cates is a very good trainer. Now, 2 off over this move. He is 0 for 14. I don't want to put too much credence into that because this is an Arkansas-bred maiden race where this horse has numbers to fit, and I do think the 7, Eve Sherman, is an interesting horse. The horse has been here and done that, went in the Rainbow last year, has races to go to, but it just seems like he likes to be the bridesmaids, run 2nd and 3rd. Now, blinkers will go on. Isaac Castillo aboard. I'm wondering if this horse is going to try to get to the front end, and it's starting to take a lot of money. I was very surprised that if you look at the wheelbase, the 3, 4, and 7 are basically the same when it comes to doubles, and I didn't really love the 7, at 5-2. But then again, this horse is taking a little bit of money. So I'm going to take a shot with the 7 a little bit here, and just hoping that the Brad Cox runner is not that much of a runner. I do think the 3 is by far the horse to beat on paper.
All right, Paulie, thanks. Yeah, here's Evie Sherman, third off the bench. I mean, this horse was third and second to Wayland Springs. Wayland Springs would come back and dominate an open company, Stakesfield and the Bachelor, and run a huge figure in the process. He hasn't come back to be the same horse, unfortunately, but it made you think that Evie Sherman was a cinch to break his maiden at some point. It just hasn't happened.
Right. Is back with Arkansas breds after 2 not necessarily disrespectful or non-respectful efforts against open company. I mean, last time out at Oaklawn, he was in an open race in which Town Branch came back to win today, and he was just beaten, a little over 4 lengths by him. I like the blinkers going back on with this horse. He's a tough one to trust. But if he's not going to be the favorite, he's, slight second choice at the moment. I think he's worth a look in here, and especially third off the layoff. A lot of times you'll see horses run their best efforts. One thing with the Brad Cox first-time starter in here, third watch, number 4, there's some trainers where you don't mind when they're wearing blinkers first time out, i.e. Wesley Ward mainly is the only one. But many of these big outfits, you think of Todd Pletcher, Chad Brown hardly runs any horses in blinkers, and Brad Cox, when you debut in blinkers, it just says to me that you're trying to find more than what this horse is showing you. At the end of the day, you're really not going to find that much more. So he's the one that I'd be more than happy to kind of leave out here, though. As Paul said, there's upside because you are dealing with a horse that has a decent pedigree considering he was foaled in Arkansas, and Marshall and Clay Sanders getting into the Arkansas breeding game as opposed to the New York breds.
Racing. And the price has floated up a bit. I believe was down at 5-2 at one point, up to 7-2 on third watch now, the first timer by Midnight Loot for Brad Cox.
He can win. It's just there were things that said to me, I'm not so sold on him.
And it's just back to the 7 for it's just a tricky read on Evie Sherman.
Isn't
Runs that big number back off the bench, and that was open company. And then more troubling, just ran one of the worst figures of his life next start on a fast track. But maybe the equipment change wakes him up.
Right, and maybe he does show speed, though I don't know if he's necessarily the most naturally fastest horse in here. There's some horses that could go. Like Skype's not that fast, but he was on the front end last time, and that was off the layoff. So maybe he's a horse that has suddenly decided as a 6-year-old that he is going to be faster. But Classy Socks should be forward in here. Like I said, I really think he's an interesting proposition, but Evie Sherman could just blast away from there. And when you're dealing with a horse who continuously likes to just pick up checks, and now in his 10th career start, just go with him, because he's proven that he's a horse that's a little bit reluctant to pass him.
So post time coming up. This is going to close out the card at Oaklawn. We appreciate you being with us on this Friday afternoon. Again, we're going to have stakes action from Oaklawn tomorrow, that 5th season, part of the lineup in Hot Springs. Stakes action included from Tampa as well with Acacia Clement, and we'll be on the road to the Kentucky Oaks in New York with the Busanda.
Looking forward to that. What we see, a Cult in there as well.
What was your take on that race? Todd Pletcher with 2, the outside Aniston filly. She broke her maiden with a very slow figure last time out.
I'm not sold on her.
No?
No, not necessarily.
Like I said, a Colt's though heavily the one to beat.
I really liked her going into that race. I liked her even more coming out of it. Mm-hmm. So I think there's she's one with some upside.
We look forward to it. Always fun to get these races on the road to the Oaks and the Derby. We'll have one for you tomorrow. Loading up, it is Street Commander with Kelsey Harr, the 3. 2-1 favorite. That Brad Cox first-time starter for 10 Strike Racing, 7-2 for the debut. Coming up next door in post 4. Joe Talamo, post 3, I should say, but the 4 filly, or 4 Colt, I should say, with a scratch of the 1. And we both were intrigued with that pedigree of the 5, who has taken no money whatsoever
Ooh, whoa, blasted all the way up to 32-1. You know, Greg, I continuously am interested in the 5 and 6, just as big prices to maybe use underneath here.
Yeah, Mr. Commander, the 5, the Dam was 2 for 3, won the first 2 starts on dirt. That was when Woodbine had dirt, and then produced a multiple graded stakes winner in Awesome Baby.
I know, I had to look at that. I was like, wait,
Yeah.
it is dirt. Yeah, 05, yeah, okay.
Way back when.
Yeah.
Vic Stauffer, here's the nightcap from Hot Springs at Oaklawn.
2 more. EV's Sherman and Hacker. They're at the post. They're off. Mr. Commander and Classy Socks, Hacker and EV's Sherman. They show the most speed. Shakeup is at the rail. Then comes Street Commander, Rudiano, and Skyped. Next, it's Campisi, followed by Storm Strategy. Third watch is the trailer. Mr. Commander is the leader. Mr. Commander, 2 lengths in front of Hacker and Classy Socks. EV's Sherman is 4th with 4 lengths to make up. Street Commander has moved into 5th. He's 5 off the lead and a length in front of Skyped and Campisi. Third watch is now about 5 from the front, and he's moving up as well. 2.5 back to Rudy Ano and Shakeup. Then comes Storm Strategy. The trailer is Chrome Candy, and the leader is narrowly Classy Socks. Classy Socks with a short lead to the outside, and Hacker moving into 2nd. Then in the center of the racetrack, EV's Sherman. Further out and on the move is Skyped. Final furlong, Classy Socks has the lead. Now Street Commander comes through from the inside. He's got momentum, and so does Third Watch. Classy Socks, Street Commander catching from the inside. These two, Street Commander, Classy Socks, Skyped, Street Commander in front. Street Commander won a length and a half. Classy Socks was 2nd. Close for 3rd between Shakeup and Skyped.
Classy Socks putting in a big run there. I know one that you liked in here at a price. Street Commander, though, gets the win at 5-2. Did not go off your favorite. And how about Shakeup making a late impact there?
I mean, he was just flying the 2 for Brett Calhoun and Nick Flores.
Interesting nightcap. It goes to Street Commander. Out Cates, Kelsey Hart. We will see you tomorrow. We begin 2:30 Eastern start time on FS2. We hope to see you then with stakes action from Oaklawn, Aqueduct, and from Tampa Bay. It was King Angelo dominant, getting his first win on dirt after 3 runner-up finishes. Maybe that is his surface after all. And what a performance from this 3-year-old filly, Classy Bridget, for Chris Hartman. Back-to-back wins now, and she was dominant against that group. Maybe going longer is in her future. We'll see you tomorrow, 2:30 Eastern start time on FS2.